and welcome back to our final set here in day number 1 of the SMITE Masters, brought to us by our friends over at Alienware, because the SPL wouldn't be complete without Alienware. Make sure that you go check them out on their social media at Instagram and Instagram and Twitter at Alienware. Check out all the cool stuff that they have to offer, and check out the Aurora Ryzen 10 desktops that our pros are playing on at home, and that the players here in the studio are also utilizing. Thanks so much to Alienware for being a sponsor here yet again in Season 9 of the SPL. As I said, we are getting ready to jump into our final set of the day. Jim, I still got Roach still with me here on the desk as we get ready to go into this one here. And it's a rematch of our very first set of the day, now our final one as we take on the Hounds and the Gladiators.
Yeah, we don't see this too often. You know, we haven't had too many like bottom bracket runs in SMITE's history. So seeing something happen in the same day especially is really cool. So we get to see Hounds adjust to the first game loss. You know, so far they've done well to bounce back, and Gladiators have been watching them succeed as well, so they get that information and they can use that against them. So it'll be interesting. Should be a whole different strategy coming into this best of 3 instead of a best of 1.
Right, that question of was it a one-game fluke? Was that just you kind of caught us off guard? Maybe we see the bounce back, or was it really going to ring true for the Gladiators? Can they find success in this final set to continue and move on to day number 2 of the Masters, or will it all end here in this final matchup? Match number 5, and remember, this is what it's going to be like all week long, is going to be the same format. These best of 1s to start things out, then moving on to these best of 3s and into the eliminations here on out. And these teams will move on in towards group number 3 with a win there. They'll join up with the Callan Wardens. Only one of these teams can continue there. The Gilded Gladiators, probably the team that I want to talk a little bit about the most here, more than anything, because this is a team, we talk a lot about them with their SPL qualifiers run, their times in the SCC, the kind of build-up that they've had, and really going back to what Maskill has been able to say during some of his interviews, some of the respect that he's shown towards these other players. This is a player, and this is a team in general, that likes to come out here and have fun. More than anything, they're a team that likes to really learn more than anything else. A win, that's great. But you always hear from a lot of the pros where they say things like, winning is great, but losing really does become a great learning experience.
Yeah, look, I think their approach is perfect as well for this timing in terms of the tournament. Like, just like the play-ins at the start of the year, a whole new meta. You just come in, nobody knows the best way to play the game right now, so you have to learn. So if you come in with that kind of attitude like they have at both of these tournaments, you're bound to succeed. So far, they've done fairly well themselves. They're up this far in the tournament. And same with Hounds, you know, not to take anything away from them either. So it'd be really cool. It is really cool to see a team stick through play-ins all through, you know, they're part of the European SEC and come this far in another tournament.
I think this is a kill that we didn't really even get to see just because it was a solo that happened at one point there. So we know that all the players on the Gladiators are capable of taking these 1v1 matchups against their opposition, though kind of the spearhead of everybody on this team is Maskill in the jungle, has been making massively impactful plays, has really been flexing more towards these auto-attack style junglers, I should say, not hunters.
Yeah. I mean, so far, that's what we've seen succeed most. Sino did it as well. You know, when you get on these objectives and you can actually auto-attack them down, it's really, really important for these objective team fights, or these team fights around these objectives. And as well, like I said earlier, the burst damage seems to be less relevant now because it's much harder to 100 to 0 somebody. So that consistent damage in terms of like a Mercury auto-attack or Kali auto-attacks like we've seen, it adds up really fast, whereas that burst damage falls off a cliff after the ability's gone.
Once again, this rematch, one though it needs to continuously be contextualized because this is the 4th seed European team coming out from this event. And then on the opposite side, it's the Hounds, the number 1 from North America, to try and hold that top spot. I mean, this is a team that ran undefeated throughout the entirety of their phase. They had players, namely Crimson, who had such low count deaths throughout the entirety of the phase, not even hitting into the double digits as far as a full 5 sets up minimum 10 games, and you don't even die 10 times. Impressive play by him. And a lot of the players around him. I mean, Quig and Dude Man Bro in that duo lane is one that I imagine we're going to keep our eyes on in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, look, the combo of Quig and Remy as well, like them just like their front line together and then setting up for their back line has been crazy. But if we want to talk about junglers with Maskill, we can talk about Oath as well, who just had an insane game of his own. So I think these two teams in this set might live and die by their junglers. You know, if their junglers are having great games, then the team's having a great game. I can't imagine, you know, I don't think at least Remakami will get that Baron again because it was so oppressive once he got to that level 20, and I can't imagine Quig will be getting Emotra as well because we know it's such a good god. He played it well and found those ultimates.
Do you think that changes up the dynamic of the drafting when you have two teams that are so high impact with their jungle compared to things like solo lane or their mid laners? Do you think that changes up some of the drafting order and priority when it comes to these teams.
Yeah, look, we normally see this kind of strategy in a long best of 5 between two teams, but this is kind of different where they've played each other once and then they've watched each other play a lot as well. So they have all that same information that they would have from a best of 5, but they're also maybe able to hide strategies and plan accordingly. So it'll be interesting to see how the pick command phase goes. I imagine both of them have a good idea of what they want to do, and they have been able to study the enemy team all day as well. So we've seen Gladiators come out on top once in a best of 1, where we saw like the Baron support. You know, we've seen Hounds since adjust to put Baron in the solo lane and you know, put Oath on these auto attack gods just like Maskill. So how are Gladiators going to respond? You know, we saw Gladiators come out with the win. Hounds responded to force their way back up to this part of the tournament, and now they go at it again.
And maybe you can give me a little bit of extra insight, you know, coming from a coaching background here and even some competitive experience. When you get down, you know, it's only day 1 at the event. You obviously don't want to show all of your cards just yet. You don't want to show everything. But sometimes it feels like you need to when you come down to these elimination sets, even if they're on day number 1. So how important is it for these teams to really be able to dig down and find something like that?
Look, when you zoom out of it and look at it, their backs are against the wall, both of them. If they lose, they're out. So there's nothing to hide at this point, you know. And there's no shame in just making it to tomorrow as well. So you can put all your cards on the table in order to make it to tomorrow. As long as you don't get eliminated on the first day, I think that's what really matters for most teams, because more experience, the better. They're able to take that back to the regular league, or they're able to get through all the way to Sunday and match up with an SPL team.
And that's the prize that awaits them at the end of this entire week here, is a chance to play up against the Valkyries and the Scarabs to kind of round all of this out. And it's only 2 SCC teams out of these 8 that are going to make it that far. And it was something that was kind of discussed on the waiting room. You know, just from the 4 that we've seen today, and obviously we're going to see more as the week continues on. Do you feel that there are some of these SCC teams out here, Ro, that could potentially take games, even maybe sets, off the Valks and the Scarabs?
Look, it's hard to say, but if there's ever a time, it's now, because the meta has just shifted. Really, everybody's thrown into this pool of, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, you know. So it's up to them to break the game first, like we said. And if an SCC team can do that before an SPL team, that's really, in the end, all that matters, you know. Typically, there's been a bit of a gap between SPL teams and SCC teams in the way they play the map in the late game. Their macro generally isn't as good because these SPL teams have a lot more practice against higher level opponents. So that's where they might struggle in a meta like this that often gets to the late game. But still, like I said, if they can find something like the Wardens, for example, who just kind of dominated this early game, as soon as these trebuchets came out, they activated them and pushed, you know. If they can do that kind of strategy or find that kind of niche in their gameplay and make it work for them, then they could do anything against an SPL team.
Well, we'll see what adaptations are made between these 2 teams from their first set of the day up until our last one. Eldritch Hounds and Gilded Gladiators, game number 1 on day number 1 of the SMITE Masters Land. First bands coming out, Osiris and Kleena. Kleena, no surprise after what we saw in the last game played through 100% pick ban and now 100% win rate. I think this Osiris is the one that really just continues to throw a wrench in the gears, though.
Yeah, I mean, Hounds obviously have set their opinions on Osiris. They must have seen something in scrims or the in-house games that they played on the SPL servers, like on the patch leading up to when it actually dropped. But the Kali ban, that's an instant response to the information they got from Maskill in his other games.
Not just that, Hercules to make sure to put a little bit of pressure over there towards Listemics in the solo lane. Yamoja banned away by the Gladiators, not going to give that one to Quig, and Quig probably also doesn't want to give that one over to Rotwin after what they saw in game number 1. And then a set ban. So that's some massive respect between both of them. So some heavy jungle priority, at least on the bans between these 2 teams. But that leaves open a first pick Jing Wei for the Eldritch Hounds.
Yeah, look, we've talked about PBM's tier list. That's at the top. I still think that is one of, if not the best gods in the game right now, just because the meta has shifted to be perfectly in line with what she does. But it was really cool to see the Hercules ban, the set ban, and the emoji ban as well. Like, those are all direct responses from what these 2 teams have seen from the enemy throughout the day. You know, things we only normally see in a long best of 5 set, they're actually now putting into play in the same day tournament.
Jingwei versus Ram now for the Hunter matchup in the duo lane. This is something that Toddy played earlier on in the day in their matchup of that first one. He went 5-1 on that god. But now Khepri is going to make their way through. We saw a few bans towards Rotwin on this god in particular. I mean, how do you feel about the Khepri right now?
Yeah, I think it just protects the president well. When you've got to play around your hunters, then you want something like a Khepri that has 1, great peel, and 2, honestly, just revives an opponent if they get killed during that ultimate. So I think perfect in that regard. Now, maybe laning up against the Baron if they put it back in the dual lane. I am surprised on the Gladiator side to see the Rama top picked. You know, I guess they just didn't value anything like that, because I don't think anything else, because I don't think Hounds would have picked Rama and Jingwei together. So they just decided to get the Rama pick out of the way. They wanted it regardless, and they didn't have any other high-value picks to take. And now we've got Kabrakan, which I think is a good support matchup into the Khepri, so that pushes Baron towards the solo lane again, which where we've enjoyed seeing it so far.
Yeah, I mean, surely with the performance that Remikami had on this guy in their last game, you don't want to take that one away from the hot hand here. It will be Merlin for the side of the Gilded Gladiators to lock out their mid lane. That leaves a couple of options up here with both the Hunters and a couple of frontliners banned away. Jungle can probably be the one to look at, or maybe at least for the side of the Gladiators, they'll take away one of the big mages. Make sure that Crimson doesn't get that signature pick, as Thoth and Hell are both banned away.
I think at this point, Gladiators just want to protect that backline. That is one of the the strongest backlines in the game, right? There's a lot of consistent damage there. And if you can get the Khepri to protect them, ban away a couple of picks that might be of threat, like the long-range artillery damage from Thoth and maybe the Hell that could sustain through the consistent damage that they have, I think that's a really intelligent choice.
Now, Oath has made one pick in particular. I'm going to maybe pick your brain out a little bit here. We'll see if maybe they do it in this matchup. Ao Kuang was something that basically nobody was playing, and then Oath at one LAN tournament brings it out and absolutely steamrolls on it. Do you think that could be a high-value pick for this team?
Look, I'm not sure. I haven't seen him much since the patch. I'm not sure why. I know the rings did get nerfed, but some of his items did not. So in a meta way you often push into the later games, then you would expect to see a little bit of Ao Kuang. We haven't seen it yet. One thing he does struggle against is basically getting two-shot by these Hunters, for example. If you're getting crit for 600 as soon as you get into a team fight, then it's really hard to get the opponent low enough to get the execute off.
Yeah, mostly just acting because of the execute. Obviously, there are a couple of other options that way, Thanatos and Achilles, the other two with those executes to maybe try and be able to deal with this Khepri. But as we come out of the bans, it was the Thoth and the Hell and now Nemesis Fenrir taking a couple more shots at the jungler. The Gilded Gladiators locking Cucullin, which we saw a little bit of at the tail end of the SPL during that seeding tournament, does get locked in. You know what? I'm going to give myself a little bit of validation there. I was kind of just going towards it. Maybe they pick it, maybe they don't. But yeah, Ao Kuang picked in.
Yeah, he's decided to give us a show. Look, I like the Cucullin on the other side as well. We saw Baron just basically wanting to farm up to 20 and get there safely, whereas the Cucullin is going to put the pressure on that the Cthulhu didn't before. Okay, we're getting wild in here.
I wasn't trying to will the Thanatos into existence either. Believe me, I was just trying to name executes. I didn't think we'd see both of them come out this game.
Well, I mean, it's good to see, right? And Ao Kuang responds to the Khepri for the execute. That's great. The Thanatos one, I am a little surprised to see. I guess they have consistent amount of damage on the Rama and the Merlin, and the Cucullin will definitely be getting in there, but they don't have a lot of kill secure. So the Thanatos makes sense in that regard.
We do see Ullr locked in on the side of the Hounds. It does bring us another double Hunter composition. That means that this Ullr will be slated over towards that mid-roll, considering the Jingwei has been locked in for the Hunter. And this Baron, Kabrakan, still a little bit of ambiguity between exactly where those. You have a preference on which of those two gods go into the solo lane?
Look, I think Kabrakan support has a good matchup into Khepri supports, and I definitely think Boomba's Hammer is the way to go on Baron, so you have to put him in solo lane at that point.
Yeah, it's too fun of a build, honestly. Mogout brought it out during the tail end of the phase, and we got to see how wild it could be, and it's only been exacerbated here in 9.5 with these teams squaring off. Elimination on the line between the Hounds and the Gladiators. Ro, looking at these two drafts, is there anyone that you kind of have a clear favorite towards?
I've given Hounds my vote a lot, and I'm going to give it to them again. I think the double Hunter is good. I think the magical, you needed the execute for the Khepri, and then you'll also get the magical, which enables you to play the double Hunter without having too much of the one physical damage type. So I think that's great for them. I think they have great kill potential on the enemy, like Cucullin, for example, so I think they can execute him fairly easily. They're not too worried about the Khepri ult at that point as well. On the other side, you know, if the Gladiators are able to get that sustained damage off and not die to any of that burst on the other side, then they could end up overtaking these team fights.
This is going to be a dangerous match between these two teams. One going home, one moving on to day number 2. We saw the Gladiators get a win in their best of 1 matchup at the start of the day, but can they continue that trend up against the Eldritch Hounds in this final match? It's a best of 3 between these two teams, and a matchup that we're going to keep a lot of eyes on here, because this is one that could potentially define metas, could potentially see a lot of new picks coming out along the way. One final word over to you before we hop into this game, Ro. Who do you think's taking game number 1 here?
We'll give the Hounds my vote for sure.
Well, Eldritch Hounds, the favorite here, on the side of Ro at the very least. We'll see if that holds true for them, though, in the game, because it's going to be an important one. Game number 1 in the best of 3 may just be the most important one between these two teams to really get the ball rolling and really get their best foot forward. Who's going to come out on top for the first one, though? Will that be the North American #1 seed in the Eldritch Hounds, or will it be the #4 EU squad with the Gilded Gladiators? Only time will tell, and that time is now. Let's hop right into game #1 to see who comes out on top.
One final chance for both of these two teams here in SMITE Masters. The winner of this best-of-3 goes on. The loser heads home. It is the Gladiators and the Hounds one more time today. A matchup where the Hounds in a best-of-1 fell to the Gladiators to start off our tournament here, Trelly. But the desk seems to like the Hounds' chances here in game 1.
Yeah, their comp is looking pretty solid. Double Hunter into the Ao Kuang to counter the Execute, as they already touched on the desk. And then not putting Quig on the Baron this time. Ramakami is going to be taking that Baron. We've already touched on this as well. That Bumba's Hammer Baron build is going to be really solid in the later stages of the game. The cooldown resets just means you have so much lockdown on this pick specifically. So Ramakami should be able to do a little bit more. I think the Eldritch Hounds have done their little comeback here, and now that they're ready to actually bring it. But on the flip side, the Gilded Gladiators have an interesting composition as well. Toddy running back the Rama once again, but the Thanatos is what I want to hone in on here. A pick that usually gets off to a good early lead, and if it doesn't, pretty much does nothing. We'll have to see if Maskill follows that suit.
Look, after the match earlier on, Trelly, there's a little riffing on Twitter. A little bit of, oh, this is the 1 seed. Like, oh, what happened? You show up. They're in the interview, the Hounds, they're like, I don't know who's even on the Gladiator, you know? And so there's a little bit of back and forth on Twitter earlier on. I do think the Hounds still deserve their respect going into this matchup, but the Gladiators have shown us that this is a squad that has played together and played consistently enough to take down teams that might be seated a little bit higher than they are in these tournaments. I echo some of your thoughts, though, if we get back towards the jungle. I echo your thoughts in that I'm so excited to see what this Thanatos can do, to see what this Ao Kuang can do, because it's so rare that we get to see one or the other, much less both in a singular game. If you're choosing a preference, would you rather have an Ao Kuang for an Execute on your team, Thanatos on your team, or either is fine?
Well, for me personally, I think Thanatos Execute is way more confirmable. There's a lot of things
That's what I'm saying.
There's a lot of things that interrupt the Ao Kuang Execute, whereas Thanatos Ult, you simply have to hit it. But there is a small but going in there because Maskill has to consistently land them, and there is a lot of juking to be done. You know, can you outplay the Execute just by, like, I'm going to go left, turn right at the last second, that sort of thing. Obviously, once Aegis comes through, then there's also that. You could get a meditation. There's a few different ways, but Blinking from Maskill.
Whoa, there is early damage on a Thanatos, and a lot of it finding its way onto Oath. A little bit being returned, and actually maybe a bit more than a little bit, from Crimson towards the Gilded Gladiators. Oath gets taken low. Crimson remains at full HP, just shy of first blood. Now that's not unheard of, an early amount of Thanatos pressure, just the burst damage from the site can set up for some pressure early on. I like it. Look, if you're gonna beat the Hounds again, I think a lot of it's gonna have to be with out-jungling Oath, because Oath has been fantastic for this Hounds team.
Yeah, and another thing is you do not want Oath to get online. Late game, there just no real contest between Ao Kuang and any other character on this map. The late game, just shred is going to be insane. Maybe up against Toddy, do you want to like trade into some high-level crits? But besides that, it's just so much late game damage that this Ao Kuang will have that Oath does not have right now. Terrible time to be an Ao Kuang is about 3 minutes into the game, but at about 10, 15
right
on
now.
the clock, and that's when it'll be a good time.
Right now's the worst time for
Oh, yeah.
Crimson's having a fine time in lane right now, though. Sotos heads on back, gets his second tier of the staff, whereas Crimson's still hanging on. Likely a Transcendence to start off for the Uwer. Started to see a little bit more of the double Hunter builds as the day has gone on. Didn't see much of them in the first couple best of ones. Took a little time in that first best of 3 to finally see this composition. But the Hounds clearly seeing some viability. And so the Hounds get themselves, Trelly, one of the best, if not the best ADCs at the moment. And we'll give Mike his due credit. to Mike's tier list, the best character in the game right now, as well as one of the best ability-based hunters in the game. With Uwer, the Hounds in their carries probably just feel like they're set for success here in game 1.
Yeah, it does look like they've balanced pretty evenly. Maskill could be looking to go for the hovering death here, sort of looking around, maybe
Even just
waiting
for a
for a few different CCs or a dash, something like that. Looks like doesn't want to wait around here too long. There is farm to be had on the opposite side of the map. Looks like Ramakami might be going for Listemics here.
Listemics able to dash away. Oath was close. would have been an ultimate opportunity for either of the two junglers. If you're jungling as a Thanatos, is there ever a world where you're using that hovering death as initiation, or are you always holding on to it as some type of, or not as some type, as an execute? So, you know, you can get the stun, you can get some setup if you just land it without the execute. But the execute is just so valuable.
Yeah, the execute is going to be your main point of damage, obviously trying to get in and just get that last hit. Then you can get the heal and sort of go in after the fact. But without any beads available, I think 1v1ing the Ao Kuang, leading with an ult into like a Scythe, Silence, your autos are going to be chunking once you get some items online. I think there's a world where Maskill sort of just uses it and just engages, tries to all-in someone. Right now, though, not really enough damage to 100 to 0 anyone unless you're like blink scything and just using the ult to chase after the fact. So I do think we're going to see more so just holding on to it, trying to chase down Oath after the fact, because this Ao Kuang should be going in to counter the Khepri, and then you want to go in and counter the Ao Kuang. I mean, that has to be the game plan here, because Ao Kuang should not be free casting in these fights.
It's more satisfying that way as well. If I'm the one finishing off the kills, I can pretend that I'm the one who's been doing all the work, and it just works out a little bit better in my favor. The Gilded Gladiators have been able to maintain pace with the Eldritch Hounds, but that's not surprising because, again, all the talk about EU and the SEC and those teams slowing down the pace of the game, the Gladiators were a team that brought sort of this new, faster-paced play style to the EU SEC. Maybe not as fast as some of the speediest NA teams, but definitely faster than a big block of the EU teams. So the Eldritch Hounds, I don't think, are going to be able to catch the Gladiators off guard with any high-speed play, because both teams, at least in the first 6 or so minutes, just fine with the way that things are pacing here. Warlock Staff, another showing of this item. It's been all the rage here in the last couple of sets. Trelly is Baron for Remakami. Pick that up first item.
I think something that we touched on a little bit ago, just discussing the fact that time to kill was changed, is the fact that, you know, everyone's got more HP, meaning all of these execute thresholds get a little bit bigger, just marginally. So a small buff to the executes, even if you are going to be building that Warlock Sash, Oath still has the option to try and go for that execute, and the HP will just get better. On the flip side, though, there is a Thanatos, so it works both ways. Not too much HP being built by a Rep Crimson, but if you look at Remakami, also stacking that Warlock Sash. So just making that execute threshold a little bit bigger by building some of that HP. But a lot of stacking items. If you look on the left side of the map,
chilling.
The Hounds have pretty much every item is going to be stacking, but it looks like Maskill does not want to try and fight Oath and will immediately go into that ult off the blink.
Yeah, that wasn't one of the options, by the way, was disengage with the hovering death all the time. That's one you have to consider for Maskill to get out of some of these fights. The one non-stacking item, although, could you count the Doom? You can count Doom more, but
it used
stacks, right?
It used to, and then they changed it, and now it does. Once you clear the minion, you get the movement speed stack. So I would consider 5 stacking items at the moment for the
Right, that's what I'm talking about. You get the little extra if you're Oath. How about Doom Orb, though, for Oath early on here? Does that tell you that he's just trying to get a little bit more active on the map? Do you think that more caters to clearing the jungle? We'll see. It's got an Oath over to the solo lane a little bit faster. Quig is here as well. Listemics with a triple knockup. You spent the time of 3 to gank Listemics, and Listemics will simply leap the wall and head away. Eldritch Hounds empty-handed.
Okay, I got to break that one down. So Listemics dies there 10 out of 10 times if they don't do exactly what they just did. Oath used the water illusion to try and juke out the knockup, still got hit and went the wrong way. Quig ulted before the jump was down and then blocked off his team in the process. Listemics beads on arrival. Like, that was all you needed to not get the execute off there, and then they just fumbled it. So a little bit of misplay by Oath and Quig, both trying to get that kill there. Unfortunate, but the gold lead is only looking a little bit in the Gladiators' favor at the moment. So they still have plenty of time to try and gank after the fact. The beads are still down for 2 minutes, so expect to see that Ao Kuang hovering around right lane, and right now, chilling at the blue buff.
Something about support today, walling off their team. Who was it, Griff?
Yep, Griff.
No, was it Griff earlier? That was
Griff pillared.
Pillared, right?
Sino.
Right. I don't know what's going on today. There's teams walling one another off, but doesn't have massive impact early on in this game. Just maybe a dropped kill over on the right side of the map. Maskill's got his ultimate back, but again, no beads burnt from the Hounds just yet. So the initial setup could be a bit more difficult, ideally. Not coming from that Thanatos, though. could be return potential. Hello, damage from Dude Man Bro. Yeah, dash up and forward. Toddy has ultimate and beads. Dude Man Bro has airstrike, but a tier. I don't know. An airstrike might have been able to catch that through. But once you get close to the tier 1 tower, don't want to fight. There's an execute, and there is first blood. Listemics unable to head back to base, just taken low. And the Eldritch Hounds find themselves their first kill.
Yeah, so even though the first gank didn't work out, again, those beads were down for still another 50 seconds. So Oath making sure to show some pressure on that right side of the map and easy execute what we got in here. Dude Man Bro, though, doesn't have too much mana here. And it looks like Toddy has made the rotation back from base, and they might try to chase this out.
They could. Quig left running. Blink will be back, but with damage, Quig won't be able to use it. Root no good onto Dude Man Bro. Quig abducted back. Gilded Gladiators now have hovering death. Execute threshold, not reach, but the stun is there anyway. Maskill finds it, and now both junglers got themselves a kill.
Yeah, Maskill had to wait the full timer of that hovering death. It's like, guys, one more.
Please.
More. Nope. Okay, I'll go in anyways. And Quig obviously didn't have really any way to get out at that point, so there's going to be no real way to try and survive that. The blink was available, but kept him in combat pretty easily. So it looks like great pull by Rotwin. And the chase down from Toddy was pretty solid as well.
Yeah, Oath over on First Blood also able to make use of the execute. And so both execute junglers were able to strike pay dirt early on here in this set. And so Trelly, I start to look towards the build of Oath here. I feel like we haven't seen Ao Kuang in ages. Do you expect ring style of building forward here for Oath? You get high attack speed and just start to wail away the later the game goes?
So I went on record last game, or maybe the last game I casted, I should say, and I said Demonic Grip, probably not going to be the best item in this slot. This time around, you do have a Baron on your team and a Cabrakan, so Demonic Grip still could be a solid option in this game specifically, shredding those protections for your other players, but honestly, Telekind's Ring and like full damage usually is the way that Ao Kuang likes to be played right now. So I wouldn't expect full ring build, but 1 or 2 on top of just burst damage is probably going to be just enough for Oath to just hard carry this game once you get to the late stages.
Unlucky. I love full ring build on Ao Kuang. There's something that's like full attack speed on Ratatosker. There's just like something about the meleeers and them having absurd attack speed and it just looking goofy. So part of me was hoping for that, but won't put my bet in that corner. Eldritch Hounds find themselves a slight gold lead moving into the first 12 minutes of this game. Trebuchet #1 starting to, I was going to say waddle, but I guess wheel its way down the mid lane. Not massive impact to be found as the Eldritch Hounds won't group themselves up around the Trebuchet. So we've seen kind of different uses of the Trebuchet so far, Trelly. Teams sending 2 or 3 of them out on opposite sides of the map. Teams drawing eyes towards the mid lane, maybe. And Maskill's eyes were drawn towards the Trebuchet, and down he will go. Soto's pulled back in, and life of the party sets up. And Crimson on the back pedal knocks down Sotos.
Yeah, beautiful cleanup here. The snipes could be enough here. Missed 1, missed 2, and the beads. So the good, solid 2 snipes. Missed 1, and that will be enough. But it looks like still action.
Ooh, the roar dodged out by Oath, and I think Oath needed to get out of that one. Listemics does not have beads. Quig's got the trembles. And 1 more kill will fall, and it's Crimson with his 2nd of the game. Now suddenly the Ao Kuang and the Uller starting to swing, and some life now from the Hounds.
So this all started from the Trebuchet going down mid. People tried to defend it, obviously. Then the rotation in. Everyone is able to burst down Maskill pretty much immediately. The hovering death just not able. The Dragon chases him up into the ult, and Oath gets that kill. Then beautiful rotation over from Remakami. Gets the beads down from Sotos and still finds a pull, but now Dude Man Bro is going to have to juke, and he does.
He does juke it, and Rotwin actually tanked up a few tower shots. Rotwin lucky that none of the Eldritch Hounds are over on the left side of the map. Could have been a pretty straightforward and simple kill. What are we going to get onto Maskill here? Up into the sky. Then another hovering death forced out. Crimson can just solo out Sotos here. Sotos will have to flicker away. Dude Man Bro stuck around in a 2v1 and forced the Scarab's Blessing out. I'm not sure what's going on with the Gilded Gladiators right now, but all of these individual and 2v1 matchups just not going their way, and a Pyromancer will head on over to the back pocket of the Eldritch Hounds. It's these small moments all just going the way of the Hounds early on.
Yeah, Dude Man Bro has the Wind Demon and the Explosive Bolt, so a lot of crit chance, whereas Toddy obviously itemized into the chin size, so a hard character to try and box right now is Dude Man Bro, and we already saw how much damage Rotwin tanked up from the tower. Getting out the Scarab's Blessing, that's just a little much. At that point, you just gotta run away from the Jingwei. Dude Man Bro,
Right.
clearly not afraid in this lane, even against a 2v1. Did get the beats down, so maybe if I'm Mass Kill right now, I'm probably using that Hovering Death over in the left side of the map because you got about 50 seconds before Dude Man Bro becomes unkillable once again.
Yeah, why not? Send some pressure over towards Dude Man Bro. You don't want the Jingwei to just keep on free farming, keep on scaling up. We know what Jingwei looks like later on in the game. Same with Rom, though. I've seen plenty of scaling out of the Rom. But it's been a tale of two different junglers so far up to this point. Not that Maskill has done anything overtly incorrect. It's just been hovering death defensively more time than I've seen it offensively. And it feels like Oath has just been able to walk forward with the rest of the squad a little bit more often, though the levels are equal and the build not too far behind for Maskill in the first couple of moments of this game. But doubling up on the amount of damage is Oath. Maskill, outside of that first bit of initiation in the jungle, hasn't quite been able to find it. Crimson hits a pretty nice power spike here, though, Trelly, able to fully finish up that hi-rez, Jotuns, and Transcendence. A nice 3-item power spike for this Ullr.
Yeah, if Sonos wasn't able to stay in lane against Crim before, the full Hydras will definitely make sure that Merlin stays pretty far back in this mid lane, but you might get your wish because Oath will be itemizing from the Ring of Hecate into another ring. So at least see
Give me
two.
more.
We're seeing a good bit of
Yeah,
attack
but if you're going to
speed.
go 2 rings, you might as well just fill out the rest of the build, right? I mean,
You could do whatever you want at this point. You're 2-0 on the Aokwang. It's one of those characters like Soul, for example, where you can go burst and have success. You can go
Right.
rings and have success, or you can go half and half and still find success. So it really just depends on what Oath wants to do with this build. Again, the Demonic Grip would help out the other magicals on the team. The Baron and the Kabrakan would do a little bit more damage whenever around Oath. But if you just want to go full burn right now, Telekines is a good option. You could get some percent pen, but Erupt Crimson is trying to go for this Gold Fury, and they need a pick to do it.
we don't often get to see heavy flexibility options in builds, but this is an opportunity for Oath, and I look forward to hopefully seeing a couple more rings built up in there. Oath walking towards mid. Chunk some damage out of Sotos' health bar. If Crimson had hit a little bit more there, might have been an easy execute for Oath. But again, this Merlin just pressured out of the mid lane has fallen 2 levels behind Crimson. There has just been too much damage out of mid. Crim has just been so pivotal to this Eldritch Hounds team all phase long, a team that has not lost any sets. And Crimson and Oath and the rest of the squad to thank for it. Gold Fury started up, though, by the Eldritch Hounds. Gilded Gladiators close by, but not close enough by to have anything to say about it. What is right now a 4,000 gold lead is actually going to get worse. I don't know what's happened in this game, Trelly. It has been passive farm. 6.3k experience, 5k gold, all in the last couple minutes.
Yeah, it just seems like Maskill does not, maybe doesn't want to get active, but also doesn't really have any avenues to get active. We mentioned Dude Man Bro got his beads down and left, but that was pretty much it at this point. The Eldritch Hounds have had no opposition, really. They're able to push up where they want, get farm where they want, and take objectives when they want. The Thanatos had some options early game, but right now, even farm-wise, level 15 to level 15, XP-wise, I should say, to Oath. And the power spike that Oath is about to have is probably going to be pretty solid, but 3 solid items for Maskill as well. So the damage is there. It's just we haven't really seen Maskill try and get active. It's more so been, I'll hover around, we'll see if I have to, but also, I need my ult to escape. Whenever Oath blinks in, Maskill's ulting out almost every time.
Right, Maskill has been doing a lot of disengaging, whereas the Eldritch Hounds have been driving the pace. And so the Gilded Gladiators may be smart not to be overly committing to saving the buffs that are getting invaded, saving the Gold Fury. But we are steamrolling straight forward into one of those games, Troy, where you have to decide where you're going to draw the line. The Eldritch Hounds have this lead. The Eldritch Hounds not a team that are going to shy away from pushing the lead. They're going to look for moments like this, initiations, setting up damage, setting up kills, and another hovering death forced defensively from Maskill. So the Gilded Gladiators are going to have to find their moment. Is it this tier 1 tower? Is it a Pyromancer? Is it a Fire Giant? Because all of the gold just siphoning to the Eldritch Hounds here at this point. Life of the party goes up. Won't find its stun, but does pull in a couple of targets. Can you get a pick if you're the Gilded Gladiators? It sure would feel good. but Remakami able to limp away from the back of the fight. Quig is going to have to do so as well and abduct into a pushback. Quig doesn't care though, as Dude Man Bro has arrived, and he is wailing away on the health bars of the Gilded Gladiators. Crimson again from downtown will connect with his damage and another kill to the Hounds.
I'm pretty sure Crimson has 3 hail of arrows and 3 kills right now. All just some pretty nice fadeaway shots. A fair bit of damage from everyone from the Hounds there, but Remakami tanked up a lot from that tower, then switched off. Oath tried to get the execute on the Scarab's Blessing, but just could not eat that much damage. Right now, though, the Pyromancer is going to be a solid answer back, and Dude Man Bro also will take the Tier 1 tower with no fear, once again, from the duo lane of the Gilded Gladiators. Toddy and Rollin were both there, but Jingwei is critting way too hard right now, has the Silver Branch completed as well, so doesn't really care too much about the physical protection that Khepri has built.
I doubt the Gladiators go this avenue, Trilly, but if you're in a ranked game, are you smashing F6 right now? You're trying to go next, you're re-queuing. And I say that jokingly because there are avenues back into this game for the Gladiators, but it feels like we're at a point where it's going to take a fumble from the Hounds to get the Gladiators back in, because right now Krim is just swinging way too hard. A Tier 2 Titan's Bane, that's going to feel very, very good. Oath is starting to hit its stride. The dual lane, Dude Man Bro hasn't done anything all game long, then just walked over into mid lane and took over second damage here in this game because of the way the Jingwei build looks. The Gilded Gladiators haven't been dying a lot, Trelly. The map has just been getting taken away from them. They haven't been able to draw a line and say anything about it.
Yeah, it seems like whenever the Eldritch Hounds show up and ask for their lunch money, the Gilded Gladiators just empty their pockets pretty freely. Right now, they don't have to protect I mean, not that they don't have to. They should have, but they have been protecting their buffs. They don't want to give those deaths.
Right.
They didn't want the kill count to get too high, but the gold lead is looking almost 10,000 at this point. I mean, it's climbing pretty high,
Yeah,
and with
crazy.
the Ao Kuang burn, this Fire Giant's going to go down very quickly, and Dude Man Bro rotates over as well.
Dude Man Bro's here. Ao Kuang has some damage. Life of the party for Remakami has been an initiation tool up to this point. Spectral Armor picked up for Rotwin, so anyone but the Khepri. That's what Dude Man Bro's thinking of. This is what should have happened earlier on over in the solo lane. No execute, though, onto the Scarab's Blessing, so Lastimics will make it out. And Oath, swing and a miss maybe on the ultimate there. Whatever happened,
Oath hit
Lastimics
it.
didn't go down.
Someone finished him before the bite went down.
Oh!
Someone...
Good on your eyes, because I had no idea how he lived there.
Yeah, I think Dude Man Bro auto'd and killed him as Oath bit him,
Oh.
so he got the regen and no kill here, but Soto's getting crit so hard.
Unlucky for Oath, but he could walk in and grab the kill anyway. Sotos has used the Aegis. Oath will finish off the kill, and Oath will nearly survive. Lastimics turns around 1, but 3 have fallen for the Gilded Gladiators. A split fight, all coming up blue. Mass kill. Yeah, you're sure to die here in just a moment, my friend. All but a deicide for the Eldritch Hounds. Oath falls for his troubles, and a Fire Giant should shortly go to the Hounds as well.
Lastemics is the only one to survive, and arguably should have been the first one to die because of those ults. You lose your jungle, so you're not going to have the Fire Giant buff on your Ao Kuang. They could try and wait, but that's 24 seconds, and I doubt they want to go for that one. Lastemics could be somewhere near the map. We know that he's farming up on the left side, but could be around. You don't want to wait that long, so it looks like Kakon will try and get as much farm as possible as the Eldritch Hounds can decide what they want to do here. They do have a Trebuchet on the left side of the map. They could try and send that down when they go for the Phoenix on the left side, or they could send it down early. It looks like no one is opting to touch it just yet. There still are plenty of towers to be had. After a Phoenix siege, I think that would help out a ton if you did have the Treb just firing off the flaming rocks from behind.
That's true.
Help out with the Phoenix push.
Right, you don't need as much help getting these towers down as you might with Phoenixes later on. Primal Fury up. Maybe not the primary target for the Hounds, but you can collect it on your way to knock down some of the extra towers here on this map. And with the meta being the way it is, the towers being a little bit stronger, I feel like the first setup Fire Giant feels more so like a setup Fire Giant than it has in the past, where you still have all of this tower value still on the map to knock down. Whereas we've seen first Fire Giants, Trelly, with like a tier 2 tower left standing in the past, and that's all you've got. And then you got to try a Phoenix Siege this early on in the game. The Hound should be able to shred away these towers, open up all the Phoenixes. And so you return to the question, another hovering death used defensively. And so you return to the question, where do you draw the line? The Gilded Gladiators seem to think it's Phoenix line.
The line has been erased, honestly.
There is
the,
no line.
The Eldritch Hounds already have a 12,000 gold lead, and that's before all these towers started going down. That's only one tier 2. There's still 2 more available. So when you're getting a gold lead like that before the setup Fire Giant, as you put it, it's just very difficult to try and fight. You still have Toddy, who's doing a fair bit of damage. Sotos has the Soul Reaver and is working on Obsidian Shard. So if you are trying to fight underneath these Phoenixes, you have the amount of penetration and damage items to get this off, but one thing you don't have is the tanks to survive through it all, to try and CC the front line, the back line, try and set you up, because right now, Rotwood is getting burned through very quickly, and Listemics, if not that mess up, would have gotten executed at the very start of that fight. So these are going to be the 2 targets. Because you have an Alquang, because you have an Execute, your tanks are going to be the first ones to go down.
Some decent diversification of Hunter damage as well. 2 Spectral Armors picked up, 1 for Listemics, 1 for Rotwin, but then you've got full ability-based, heavy penetration at the end of the build for Erupt Crimson as well. That damage is going to find its way to sticking on the frontliners of the Gilded Gladiators here. Yeah, set up Fire Giant, feels pretty good. You got a minute and a half left on the buff, and all 3 Phoenixes are open. Eldritch Hounds have been able to head back to base, buy up some important items. It looks like Trebuchet was released at some point, has been dealt with by the Gilded Gladiators. I feel like you got enough time here, Trelly. Throw an attempt at one of the Phoenixes out. See if you can get this game ended before the next FG.
Yeah, it does seem like they are grouping on the left side. I imagine Quig is looking for mass kill once again. We saw the blink in, the wall, and that was enough to make sure that hovering death got used. I imagine right now, if you're the Eldritch Hounds, you're a little bit worried about the person tanking up Phoenix for your squad getting an execute threshold. That's the only way that anyone's ever dying. So trying to find mass kill before the fight starts and forcing that out means your tanks can tank this freely. It looks like 38 seconds left, and they're going to go for this.
Yeah, the fact that mass kill has ultimate going into a team fight is a bit unique for how it's worked out this game so far. It's been so often that mass kill has just not had that all. And the fact that that could be an option in the next couple of minutes. A very strong point for the Gilded Gladiators. Way over on right is Oath, pushing down a minion wave. A complete split here, a 4-1-1 split. That's totally my fault, right? Although he could use it to reinitiate here, this is going to be a hovering death into the fight, and there are a couple of stuns on the other end. Remakami has got to leave. Quig in the eyes of 5. A little bit of healing on the other end. No way that saves his life. Toddy with one last auto gets the damage, but look at this. The Eldritch Hounds have sent their auto attackers into the Titan room. Can the backs be delayed? Over on left, it looks like the Hounds in mid backing away from the Titan, but the right Phoenix is gone. The mid Phoenix is gone for Quig, and Quig alone. 35 seconds before the FG spawns. I'll take that just fine. Be careful, Dude Man Bro, in a 3v1.
It looks like Oath and Dude Man Bro are trying to fight this without everyone.
Oh, he's gonna go back in. Oh, the Scarab's blessing is up. It's down, and bye-bye, Toddy. Dude Man Bro and Oath have stuck around in the mid lane, and they've at least found one. Dude Man Bro is wailing away. A double kill for the Jingwei, and now the Eldritch Hounds have bought their time. Sotos heads back to the fountain, and Sotos is the last alive. I think Sotos will also be watching his Titan die. The Eldritch Hounds outplay the Gladiators in mid, and they'll take a 1-0 set lead.
Yeah, it looks like Sotos is going to have some low health bars here, but I can't imagine being able to kill them both. Dude Man Bro goes down.
Oh no, am I wrong? Crimson, to send your damage towards the Titan. You need minion waves. I lied. They're not going to be able to win. The Eldritch Hounds have to leave. The Gilded Gladiators mid laner has done enough. And game 1 goes on. It feels like more of a delay than anything else, Trelly. But a delay keeps the Gladiators on the map for game 1.
Yeah, no one was able to tank there. Remakami tanked like 2 shots and then was like, hey, I'm going to switch it off. And then, unfortunately for Dude Man Bro, he will fall down there. I think he was trying to kill that Titan, whereas Crimson was trying to kill Sotos. Now, though, we have almost enhanced Fire Giant time. If you're waiting for your ADC, you got to stall for about a minute and a half, and you could get it, but I don't think you want to wait for anything to respawn at this point. The Eldritch Hounds already setting up near the Fire Giant, but it looks like the Gilded Gladiators may try to get up here. One thing that we have mentioned, Mass Kill has ult available, so Hovering Death could come into play here at this Fire Giant siege if they go for it, but still got a little bit of time on that Jingwei passive.
Yeah, see, I'm still just getting used to how tanky the Titan is now. Normally that's a game end, but it's so beefy nowadays that it definitely caught me and the rest of the Hounds maybe a bit by surprise. The Fire Giant a little bit more difficult to work down, but Still easy enough for the Eldritch Hounds. All right, Enhanced Fire Giant, half HP on the Titan. No chance this goes wrong.
Yeah,
I'm putting that into the universe.
All right. Well, what could possibly go wrong? We're going to find out.
What could go wrong here, Trelly?
You want me to paint you a picture?
Yeah, I suppose tanking the Titan too long.
Okay, so
Quig gets left alone again.
Alqua, all right, so Oath and Dude Man Bro go mid and right. They kill much faster in left lane this time. Then,
So it's got to be an active choice from the Hounds to lose is what we're getting at here.
I mean, I would say so. They did it once. Maybe they'll try it again. I will say it's much harder because the Gilded Gladiators, they already have 2 Phoenixes down this time around. So someone is going to have to clear those waves, meaning everyone's already spread thin. The Eldritch Hounds do not have to split push anymore. They can be grouped as 5. And that just makes the siege so much harder to deal with. So it looks like they're setting up for an ambush here, though. Who's going to walk up?
All right, here's a picture that the Hounds may not be ready for.
I think they knew.
Yeah.
I think they were well aware.
Unfortunate. Oh yeah, there is a ward like 2 feet away from where they were grouped up, so they had some sort of idea. Fire minions pouring down the right side. Mid lane will reach the Phoenix line in just a moment of time, but both Phoenixes will be back and respawning as well. Oath and Dude Man Bro. Look like split push in mind.
Give Oath like
Pull
3 seconds
all 5
on Titan.
members of the Gladiators.
It's gone.
Oh, Oath wants it. Oath gets the kill on a mass kill. That's a solo kill. And now Toddy back on the Titan as well, and that may just end the game. Looks like Dude Man Bro sent damage Sotos' way as well. I wasn't wrong, I was just delayed. The Eldritch Hounds, well, watch, now they're totally gonna lose somehow. The Eldritch Hounds, though, have found damage onto Listimics. Mid lane Phoenix low, but not down just yet. Life of the party hasn't stunned anyone, but it has delayed this fight, and Listimics can only tank for so long. The Eldritch Hounds need an Enhanced Fire Giant to get it done, but they will get the EFG. They will add a kill onto Toddy, and Sotos on the Merlin needs a miracle to make it happen again, but hopes are dashed, and the Hounds will end up taking game one.
Yeah, they won't drop that one twice, Dave. That will be
Thank
the
God.
end call there. They had plenty of damage to do so. I think just wanting to play that one a little safer after the fact. Sotos was doing a fair bit of damage, but with so many members of the Hounds still alive, and we saw how much damage Oath was able to output just on a mass kill there specifically, that Titan would have got 1v1 pretty much at that point. So just great play by them and making sure to get their jungler to that late game. Dude Man Bro was looking pretty dominant the whole time, even 1v2 in that lane specifically. So everyone looks way better than they did at the start of today.
Look, and Dude Man Bro went to level like 19 with 1 assist, and the Jingwei still got there. Crimson had an incredible game out of mid. You think about how far ahead that Uller felt all throughout that game. Sotos on the Merlin just never really got the wheels spinning. I look at really the jungle here and how different that felt this game. There were plenty of avenues to success for the Hounds. But the fact that Masskill was operating without that hovering death half the time, and the Ao Kuang was seemingly doing whatever it wanted, just felt good and felt successful for the Hounds. A 1-0 lead for the Hounds. 1 game away from knocking the Gladiators out of this tournament. Game number 2 coming up next.
But he had the Horsey, and Horsey, don't you stop! Fido care! Fido king!
I gave up dabbing for Lynn.
Cool. No more dabbing for final. He looked at me and said, I'm going to be on that stage next year. I'm going to become a world champion.
Ripping through! Titan down, ball 3! A double kill myself!
Eldritch Hounds are one game away from advancing to day number 2 of the SMITE Masters LAN with a victory here up against the Gilded Gladiators, able to find a nice win for themselves. Took a little bit longer in the end of the game, though. Some decent pushback, at least from the Gilded Gladiators, to hold out for a little while longer. At the end of the day, it is the Eldritch Hounds coming out with the win. It's J-Mac and I got Ro joining me on the desk as we get ready to kind of break down game number 1, go over and get ready for game number 2. But this one, not particularly close. I mean, I look up at one point, we're seeing 10,000 gold lead, only 20-some odd minutes in here. Very convincing win by the Hounds.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Gladiators came in with a strategy against the Baron, right? They didn't respect it in draft, or they wanted to play into it intentionally, and they kind of picked a good colony to it in order to out-pressure it, right? But Hounds had a great response to that. Like, all right, we're just going to play around our Baron and get him to the level 20 point in the game. They constantly, just like this, well, he didn't get it off this time, but just like this, tried to force those Thanatos ults so that he wouldn't be able to play aggressive, and that it basically takes him out of contention for a lot of these fights by being able to engage on him first. And then we had Erupt Crimson just dropping arrows on people's noggin and just getting free kills everywhere.
I mean, we saw very, very few, if any, offensive hovering deaths out of Maskill. I think the only one that I can really recall right off the top of my head is the one on the team fight defense, or on the Phoenix defense on that left side of the map near the end of the game. But outside of that, a very quiet game for Maskill as far as those ults are concerned. Oath on the opposite side here with the Thanatos. Nothing but noise coming from him.
That's right, yeah, real fast attack speed right there. Easy to, well, not easy, but, you know, a good play to jump over that scythe, not to get hit by it, and that way you win the matchup for sure.
I remember at one point I looked over toward the end of the game, and I looked at the build that Oath had, saw how many rings and the Toxic Blade they had, and I was going, wow, he's swinging really fast. I'm trying to keep track of how many times that sword is swiping, but it did not matter here with a double ring and Toxic Blade, and then finishing out with a double inside that Lost Artifact tree. A lot of damage and a lot of attack speed for this jungler.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you get all your dragons off from your sword, right? You've got to get 6 auto attacks off, so you may as well get them off quickly for maximum amount of damage.
20,000 damage for Oath. 27,000, though, for Crimson on the Uller in game number 1. I believe Undying there as well. So Crimson putting out some decent DPS alongside his team. Dude Man Bro also putting up in the lower 20,000s, 22K for himself here. And now if you're the Gilded Gladiators, you tried to fight into this Baron. You tried to find a way to counter up against it, and that didn't seem to work out. Now if you're the Gladiators going into game number 2, if you're running that first pick position, do you try and keep that God for yourself, or do you just take the high road and maybe just ban it out?
Look, I mean, obviously they could play it themselves as well, but I don't even think Baron was the true start of that matchup. So maybe they just start ignoring it and just being like, whatever, if it gets level 20, it gets level 20. We'll deal with it when it comes to it, right? But where they fell short was all the fights before level 20, right? So they lost their lead pretty early on. The Thanatos ults always got forced out in the jungle. So maybe they just need to have a more broad potential rather than these two scaling, 80 carry and mid laners with the Khepri behind them as well. You know, they never got to the point where they could just burn targets or burn objectives. You know, one time we did see a Trebuchet come up mid lane, and a comp like this, like a Merlin, isn't going to have any problem with a Trebuchet because he burns down targets that stand still in his fire or his arcane damage or whatever it may be. But they didn't have that, luxury against these moving gods on the enemy team.
So far today, we haven't seen a whole lot of action out of these trebuchets. A couple of tower shots, I think maybe the most active one we saw was in our previous set, pushing a Phoenix. And I just remember all of us in the green room watching. It's like, it got a shot, it fired a shot, and it actually landed on something for once. So these trebuchets haven't been showing the most value as of yet, but have definitely been at least a deterrence for some of these teams to have to force somebody to go and deal with them.
Yeah, and also I think it's that some teams play better with them than some other teams. You know, we saw Wardens in their game, they would, they had a Trebuchet in the dual lane, so they activate it and then go towards the Pyromancer. So you have to deal with the Trebuchet in the other lane on the other side of the map that we're taking an objective. Plays like that, I think we might see more often the deeper we go into the tournament as people get more used to playing with these new mechanics. And also, as we go deeper into the tournaments, we get to statistically the better teams.
That is true there. I mean, we are starting out with all the SCC teams for these first 3 days. It's not until day number 4 on Sunday of this week that we see our first SPL teams finally make their way into these brackets and face off against these SCC squads. And obviously week number 2 is where we see the last 6 SPL teams that already had made their way to the top of the brackets there. So sure to get more and more exciting as these days go on, as these weeks continue forth and we get closer towards the ends of Masters. But now with their backs against the wall, the Gilded Gladiators have a lot to think about before we jump into game 2.
Look, yeah, I mean, it's been a long day for them. You see them yawning on camera. They've been here since the first match of the day. That's when they played. That's where we saw Gladiators beat the Hounds. Now, at the end of the day, the Hounds have answered back, and it's back into the Gladiators. You know, the ball is in their court. You know, they have to make the move now to counter what they've seen Hounds do. Do they completely switch up to their strategy? Did they say, you know, we just made a couple mistakes and stick with it? Or do they continue to experiment? Because in the end, it is still a new meta. They're a team, Maskill said in his interview, they're just here to learn, and that's what they're doing.
And I think that's a very important point to bring out is just how long these days are, especially for these teams that have to play in that first set. For them, they're walking in 10:15, 10:30, you know, getting themselves set up, getting their computers all ready to go, making sure that all of their key bindings and whatnot are all set for themselves. That way they can jump in here. And now as we're pushing in towards the end of our, potentially the end of our final set, we're looking at 6 p.m. right now. These guys have been here for 8 hours at this point, and still potentially more if this does go to a game 3. The fatigue is going to be a big thing when it comes to a lot of these group matchups.
Yeah, it's not something we get to see in SMITE too often. You know, we don't have best of 7s for a reason because fatigue is is difficult to get through. So, you know, seeing these guys that are, you know, young guys and up and comers take on these long days is really inspiring.
Well, ready to jump into picks and bans. Game number 2, the final chance for the Gilded Gladiators to strike back and send us to game number 3 up against the Eldritch Hounds. The Eldritch Hounds now 1 game away from moving on towards day number 2. First bans coming out by the Gladiators, though, will be at least one of the problem children and one god that they do not want to deal with. I'll let you maybe determine which of those two is which here with the Baron and the Jing Wei.
Yeah, well, the Baron, obviously, you know, Gladiators, it looked like they had a plan into it last game. It didn't work out. You know, they're humble enough to admit that. They'll just go ahead and ban it and retry it, their strategy.
I'm so curious about this Osiris, man. There has been so much stock put against the Gladiators for this pick. There had to have been like one scrim where Maskill just absolutely popped off, and every team has just unanimously decided that he's not allowed to play this god.
Yeah, it's that, or it's other teams that Hounds have been scrimming, or it's the in-house matches that they had. Either way, they've set their opinions of the god, and, you know, maybe we'll see it show up from the SPL teams. Maybe they've heard that the SPL teams are playing it, for example. Either way, they don't want to play it themselves. They definitely don't want to play against it.
They do not want to play against the Umoja on the side of the Hounds either. That one gets banned away alongside it. And the final ban for the Gladiators will be Hell, so taking a shot at the mid laner, not letting Crimson pick up one of those devastating healers that we saw earlier on in the day.
Are you
Hercules as a final response ban
death?
out of the Hounds, showing some respect towards Listemics, but that leaves Kleena open. 100% pick ban rate. And with the one game that Kleena's made it through, 100% win rate as well.
That's right. We'll see if they can continue that. You know, we saw, I mean, this is a pretty smart draft for them. You know, we saw Hounds ban away Hercules in the previous game because they lost to it at the start of the day. And they say, well, you've only got one ban left. I'm either going to get Hercules, which I liked at the start of the day, or I'm going to get Kleena, which, well, everybody likes.
But that does leave open, you know, we saw Amaterasu kind of pop off earlier on the day. I believe that's on the side of the Callan Wardens, where they really like that one. Remikami definitely could go towards that if they so choose to, but lining up against a Kleena or still Kleena into the jungle, there's always some options and some availability with that. It would be reminiscent if I didn't talk about the fact that she can go to the ADC role, but with how strong Hunters are, probably don't want to take a Hunter out of that lane.
Yeah, I mean, either way, Hounds are in a position where a lot of their gods that they've played so far have now been taken away from them. So now is their time to really mix it up and show how deep their god pools are. And they're starting that off with the Zhonghui Rama.
Zhonghui and Rom. So getting the carries out earlier on, which something with some teams that we're not as familiar with seeing. Typically, we'll see more towards the frontliners locked in. You'll save like your mid pick for last. Obviously, with how strong the Hunters are now, you want to get one of yours early on. So that's where we see that. And a guy that's been banned away a few times, and now we'll finally see the light of day. Talk to me a little bit about this Chernobog pick here by the Gladiators.
It's just the classic dive Hunter, right? He's just diving straight into the enemy backline, but it seems like Hounds have kind of predicted that from seeing the Kleena, who's almost always going to the solo lane and is almost always diving the carries. They've picked some anti-dive, with Rama being able to go up in the air and being able to survive that way, and Zhonghui being able to let the ghosts out and make his offense his defense, you know. It looks like they predicted that the Gladiators would be gearing up for a dive composition. Gladiators double down and say, you know what, I don't care, we're diving anyway.
And Oath will pick up a Susano for himself. So pretty much all of the front, or all of the backline, I should say, the ones who the frontliners are going to be diving on towards, will be locked in on the side of the Eldritch Hounds. Gladiators still have a little bit of option available to themselves. With that Kali locked in, Kleena now more likely slotted over towards that solo lane. And so mostly be these big, beefy frontliners going. I mean, what supports do you have options available? What warriors do these teams maybe still want to go for? at least one frontliner taken away. Nox going to be banned on the side of the Hounds.
One frontliner we've seen from Hounds before was King Arthur. I don't think it went too great. I don't think it has a particularly good matchup into Cleaner, so I wouldn't want to see that one. In terms of support, I would have loved to see, I was going to say ESET. I would also say Nox on either team would be great for their great matchups into either team right now as well. But Hounds, even though they have the pick choice out, they decide not to take it.
Still a few options, though. I mean, I'm thinking about the Khepri right away that could go the way of the Gladiators now that you don't have to worry about that execute on the opposite side. Could maybe be an option, though, potentially maybe with Achilles still on the board. Not one you would instantly want to go to, but we haven't really seen a whole lot of Achilles as of recent.
Yeah, and there's not much room for Gladiators. I mean, Gladiators could slam it in support or something like that, but there's not too much room on their draft to play it right now. I think the Khepri's a really good call, but they're going not for the Khepri at all. They're going straight to Ares and trying to cripple whoever comes in onto their backline.
Yeah, Kali, Kleena, Chernobog, all going to be affected by this Ares. A very smart pick out there, and going to force a lot of beads, too. Kleena doesn't have that CC immunity. Kali has destruction, but that's not CC immunity, at least to say there. So final picks now over to the Gladiators. And I mentioned the Khepri, it's just because one that Rotwin likes to go to. It's one that was banned away from him multiple times throughout the day. Do you think that the Khepri would be a strong one to go here, or do you maybe try and go for a Guardian or a Warrior that has some of that CC to deal with this Ares?
Look, I've always liked Ymir into Ares. That is the classic matchup. I think it's good into the rest of the team comp as well. As long as, we've seen a little bit today of people walling off their own team, as long as none of that happens, I would like to see the Ymir. But also I've heard from other pros that Ymir might be too slow right now. He has to deal with a lot of, supports have to deal with a lot of rotations right now, and we've seen a lot of, I guess in the last game, we saw a lot of fights in the solo lane, whereas Ymir wouldn't normally want to do that. They're normally invading dual lane and stuff like that and pressuring with their ADC. So not so much this type of game, especially with the Chernobog, normally ulting from dual lane or, to solo lane or just ulting to get the ghost and slowing down the enemy team as well.
I mean, fight's happening in solo and Ymir's still waddling his way through the mid lane going,
That's right.
Guys, hold on, just don't start the fight yet, I'm on the way. But still 2 more picks left for the Gladiators. They're really taking their time to think about what they want to lock in. Talking about another immobile Guardian, but one that can provide a little bit of sustain towards this team, Sylvanas is going to be the pickup for the support of the Gladiators.
Surprising to see because he's generally, to me at least, more of an anti-dive god, and I guess now he's got somebody to protect. Chernobog I thought would be diving into the enemy backline, which would be away from the Sylvanas, but now he might stick and fight with the Persephone and just use the Chernobog ult to go up and then come back down to be safe.
One final pick now for the Hounds, solo lane. The likely option, unless this Jean-Qui somehow slots his way over towards that side of the map. And quite a few options available. Now that you've seen the full draft of Gladiators, is there any pick that maybe stands out to you that the Hounds could go for that final slot?
I mean, so far it just looks like both teams are going to live and die by their jungler. Just in the way that game went as well. So anything that can play around your Susano for Hounds, I think would be great. Anything to counter the enemy jungler, like the Kali. So, well, I mean, it really depends where the Jean-Qui is going. It could be in solo lane, it could be in mid lane still.
Hounds as well taking a bit of time to decide what their final pick is, because this could be the pick that could potentially make or break their way in this game and hold things back.
Looks like it is solo lane.
Neath, the final selection for the Hounds. That one confuses me a bit, Ro, I'm going to be honest.
It looks like it's probably Neath mid. And then again, I might be wrong. It could be Neath
fair.
solo. I have seen that in ranked, but I do think Jean-Qui has a decent matchup into Cleaner solo in that lane as well. So they both have the good amount of sustain. Once Cleaner gets Soul Eater, Jean-Qui has his inbuilt sustain and he's quite tanky. But I think we're seeing a lot of activity in that lane again, just like last game.
We will see where this Neath eventually pockets out. Most likely towards that mid, throwing the Jean-Qui over there. So how does that interaction work? You have the ghost, the demon queller, the ghost queller up against this. Is a Banshee technically a spirit to where would he be able to put clean in the bag?
That would be crazy, but I'd like to see it.
What if we made that an interaction for like season 10? We go like super like crazy out of pocket for interactions like that.
I mean, if he can summon cleaners, then that's even better. So
that would just be wild to see a bunch of cleaners screaming him out. It reminds me of the charity event that we had where it was the pros versus the devs, and the devs all turned into cleaners and were just flying around the map.
Lermy might have to make that one happen.
Yeah, we'd have to definitely talk with Lermy for something like that. But for our final potential game of the day, with the Gladiators and the Eldritch Hounds, it's 1-0 up for the Hounds. They win this game, they move on to day number 2, and they can continue on in the SMITE Masters tournament. A loss here for the Gilded Gladiators will send them home, and their tournament life will be done. Ro, before we jump into this potential last game, is there any kind of maybe favorites on the drafts that you're looking towards here?
honestly, this one's a toss-up for me. I think it all comes down to the Ares as well. If the Ares can get rolling and really play aggressive this whole time, then I'd give it to them. But honestly, I don't know for this one.
Yeah, potentially, we talk a lot about the do or die by the jungle, but it might even be over in that dual lane with the supports that could be showing some interest and some intrigue amongst these two teams here. And I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes still in the jungle between Oath and Maskill. They've really kind of been the playmakers for their teams throughout the phase and a lot throughout this tournament as well.
Well, look, honestly, it could be the Sylvanas as well, by the way. I was just thinking, you know, I'm thinking about an Ares running directly into a Sylvanas that's beefy and absorbing chains and healing his team as well. So I honestly, I'm just thinking about this matchup, and I don't know which way it's going to go. So far, we've got Hounds 1 and Gladiators 1 if you count the whole day.
True.
So it's up to this team to win, I guess, the best of 3.
Yeah, kind of a pseudo best of 3 in that case. You know, you throw the first one in there, it makes it not quite a best of 5. It'd be a weird, awkward best of 4 in that sense. But I mean, it's always going to feel good, at least for the NA boys. Can they hold their #1 seed and kind of keep that reputation up here and make sure that they can find the win? We'll have to find out as we jump right into game number 2.
Very important as well, because we're already losing half of our EU SEC teams after day number 1. All of the two teams that are in this side of the bracket could be going home from EU if the Eldritch Hounds are able to take game number 2 here. What could be one final time. Dolson, Trilly, bringing the action alongside Doug, and the Eldritch Hounds, Trilly, they will stick with a double hunter composition here going into game 2, but a bit of a different look. Still ability-based for Crimson, but that World Weaver so dynamic as far as impacting the game.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I did not expect Crimson to build into the Gilded arrow, which again, and possibly a Dev Gauntlet start as well. Could be a Blood Forge maybe if you're trying to get a lot of damage online, but we're so used to seeing these ability-based hunters go right for that Bluestone and in Transcendence. Neath especially, you're just sending that World Weaver to whichever lane you want.
Neath did a lot of Hidden Blade, right?
Yeah, that too, yes, exactly. Trying to get as much ability damage as possible, but maybe right now Up Crimson saying, I don't want to fall behind, I want to get as much, maybe I don't want to fall behind, I want to push ahead, I want to get even more gold, and then I'll just get a similar style of build. But right now, looks like a normal Hunter build that we would expect from any sort of auto attack Hunter. We'll have to see how he decides to play this Neath mid. Maybe he'll throw something different by the wayside.
Well, the one thing the Desk talked about, Trelly, for the Hounds to find the advantage, because the Desk kind of echoed that these were two very similar compositions. Whoever plays it better could win. Both have strengths, both have weaknesses. But Rose shouted out the Ares. What kind of avenues are you seeing for Quig to get aggressive here in this game? You got beads on Toddy here in duo, and then mid and solo, of course. Do you think there's an opportunity for a lot of blink initiations? The low damage, a little bit tankier. First blood usually has to wait. So do you agree with Ro that Ares might be the linchpin here for the Hounds?
I definitely think Quig is going to have to be on point with the chains and be the initiator on the squad. But looking at Maskill, every single time Quig hits a blink ult, he'll be getting pulled. It looks like Oath.
Ooh, Oath is, whoa, just has to dodge out the last bit of damage. Maskill taken low as well. So both junglers actually eating the majority of their health bar from the respective mid laners on either side. Crimson left a little bit lower, though, than Sodos. So the 2v2 for the Hounds just pushed back a little bit further. Remakami sticking with the mage solo, was Baron in game 1, and now a Zhang Kui here in game 2. Has some lockdown, maybe a little bit different from how Baron operates, but maybe hoping to have similar impact.
Yeah, I imagine Baron, obviously you want to get the Warlock Sash online like you did and just sit back and farm. Zhang Kui can be a bit of a bully. Level 5, you could even look for a kill opportunity if you can find a good stun. And it looks like Remakami is just trying to consistently hit that card and poke down the Stemix. This Kalina is not going to have too much sustain until that Soul Eater's online. Right now, the Spiked Gauntlet isn't going to be healing you too much in that lane. Maskill will have to come over and help out the blue buff because of that fact. But I imagine we could see Lestemix sort of sit near the tower line for a bit, at least until that ultimate's available to help clear the wave. But as we were talking about, no beads on Maskill. With Ares having a blink ult in 2 levels, anytime Kali gets caught with that, essentially that should result in a kill or Maskill's ultimate.
It should. And poor Maskill, if there's another game where Maskill's ult is just getting forced away with no impact of his own, could be tough sledding for the Gilded Gladiators. Think back to the hovering deaths that we saw in Game 1, and it was all just mass kill under pressure, hovering death defensively, couldn't use it to initiate but once or twice. If that's the trend, we're in for another rough game here if you're the Gilded Gladiator with your tournament lives on the line already. This is a ruthless format. I mean, you get 1 day to fly out, and you better show your best. You lose twice, you're headed home. Gilded Gladiators not quite ready to head out just yet. Maskill at level 5, Oath at level 4. Maskill can't find the stun. Otherwise, Oath might have been in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I think Oath wants to hit level 5 before trying to engage here. Obviously, Maskill has Destruction, so can just defy death. If the 1v1 presented itself, it wouldn't be the best option. Given the fact that Erupt Crimson can probably just go into that ult and sit there and just watch Maskill until the ult goes off, and then get a free kill that way if the World Weaver is doing enough damage. Again, this is a build we have not seen too much on Need, so I don't know how much that would change the actual ability damage, but still a pretty good option. Remikami, though.
Maskill, blink forward, stun. Remikami answers back with a stun of his own. Destruction out early here, and that'll chop down the health bar. Zhonghui can only do so much, but uh-oh! The jungler making an impact on left as well. The Hounds have answered back. This is very similar to game number 1, where both junglers off to a good start.
Yeah, this time though, Astemix will get that kill, so no extra gold for Maskill. The Kali not off to this commandingly with that first blood bounty. It's going to help out a lot in lane though. Astemix probably will be able to finish the Soul Eater, and that will be the option that they get for themselves. Astemix has the Soul Eater ready to be stacked up. Obviously, Remikami probably going into a Pythags or a Soul Gem, depending on which one you want to go for, I think. Pythagorean's piece is usually the option for these mage solo lanes if you are building into that tiny trinket tree. So a little bit of extra lifesteal, but you're not going to be able to out-damage any sort of Soul Eater stacking clean at the moment. So I imagine Remikami sitting pretty far back in that lane while clean just free farms. Oath, though, as you mentioned, got active in that lane and did actually get the last hit. So now there's a Susano with 1 kill. Doesn't have the Transcendence online just yet. Now is able to finish it. So we'll be able to stack that up and try and do as much damage as possible elsewhere. You've already seen Susano on the left side of the map. When you get active in mid, Persephone is usually a pretty easy bet.
Yeah, and so we do end up getting, I'm sticking with the Transcendence here. We do get the Transcendence stacking for Oath. Again, we thought it might be on Crimson. But Devourer's Gauntlet for Crimson in the mid lane. And I do kind of want to harp on that. It's hard to fully predict where this build goes, but it feels like if you're not doing mannequins into Transcendence immediately, it feels like you're just kind of committing to a more auto attack based build. And that's just Oath being annoying, I suppose. World Weaver, way down mid.
Blink
Just
ult.
take lots of damage. Quig here doesn't have blink, but does have ult. Maskill doesn't have beads, but does have ult. Quig kind of caught between 2 options here. Maskill gets his back stopped yet again. This is just annoying. You're not going to get this kill. You're just being obnoxious.
Yeah, I was waiting to see like maybe
I
Quig
know,
wraps
some
around
doing
again.
something, right.
And if Oath did teleport to that, definitely just gets stunned, eats a tower shot, and dies pretty much immediately, even with the Typhoon available. Did not have the damage to try and finish that. If Quig had ult the blink rather, if Quig had that blink timer ready, that could have been an easy double kill or at least a kill on the mass kill and Sotos' beads, but not going to be the option there. Everyone is able to just back up freely. A little annoyance and some farm miss, but besides that, not too much. Mass kill gets pulled though.
Maskill pulled back in towards the Hounds. Grasping Death is big from Sotos. And now Sotos can walk forward towards Quig as well. Grasp of Death just did so much there. And it'll be another kill over to the Gilded Gladiators. Life for the Order side. Could be a 4th kill if Remikami isn't careful. Knockup no good from Rotwin. But there is a root indeed. Remikami gunned down, and the Gladiators have come to play.
Now 2 kills on each of the assassins of the Gilded Gladiators. That is a massive swing. I mean, not even a swing so much as because they were never really ahead, but a massive play for the Gilded Gladiators, able to get so much off of that. Just started off with what should have been a pretty solid play. Obviously you get the Ares ult. Maskill has to get pulled and use the ult. Unfortunately, gets the target reset, immediately gets full HP after the fact, and then you can't kill Kali. Oath goes down because of a very nice Grasp of Death from Sotos from mid lane. And now you have a Persephone that's chunking with this Warlock Sash already. You have 2 very fed assassins. If you're the Eldritch Hounds, I can't imagine you're looking to get too aggressive anymore. You're trying to stay back, farm, get some items online, maybe Dude Man Bro is able to push the lead a little bit because you're against a Chernobog who does not really excel in these 1v1 team fights. More so, I'm going to sit under tower, clear the wave, and then out-rotate you type of hunter. So Dude Man Bro can find some success there, maybe look towards the duo lane, but anywhere else it's going to be very hard to fight.
The Eldritch Hounds just a bit behind here, 1.5k gold or so. Gilded Gladiators. Again, this is why when we talk about the Gladiators bringing a faster pace style of game to the EU SEC, this is what we're talking about. The ability to run down and push these leads. Remakami in some serious trouble here. 3-man rotation from Solo will confirm the kill and the killing spree for mass kill on the Kali. Already, this Kali is a problem for the Eldritch Hounds. Think back to the tough game mass kill had in game 1 alongside the rest of his team. And now to come out in game 2 like this, get yourself off to a 3-0 start. 3 deaths already on the Hounds solo laner. Hounds already looking down the barrel of it here if you can't slow down this Kali.
Yeah, Dude Man Bro looked like he was getting aggressed upon, but now he's trying to turn it on to Toddy. Here comes World Weaver as well. The beads will have to be used, and Oath is chasing this.
Oath with Typhoon gets a little bit of damage, and Dude Man Bro finalizes the kill. But wouldn't you guess it, mass kill is here, and destruction is whirling. A 4th of the game for the Gilded Gladiators jungler. Rotwin's been a bit off the mark with the ultimate that we've seen so far, but could make some extra action happen. Won't be, though. And I think we're in a world here, Trelly, where Listemics can just be left alone. I mean, a 3-level lead on a Kleedna over a Zhang Kui should be able just to walk forward, take those blues, and be just fine in lane.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, the build from Remakami as well is a bit puzzling. Seems to be going from the Pythags into what I can only imagine is the Typhon's Fang. You're trying to get as much lifesteal as possible, but once your healing gets shut down, what really do you have? You're not out damaging the Kleedna. You're not even out sustaining the Kleedna. So Remakami pretty much sits behind the blue buff there, where there's no tower, and just sort of hides. You can see there's actually a ward placed right where Remakami usually is hiding behind that blue buff. So they are very much aware of where this Zhang peters out at, and they're just watching him consistently, trying to get these items online. 3-level lead for Listemics, and you're right. I don't think anyone's going to be coming over here to help out.
The Gilded Gladiators, Trelly, I love the pacing of the game that they've brought forward here. And why let off the gas when Masco's having this style of game? Sure. Let's walk all the way behind their duo lane. Let's get a double knockup and a pull onto Dude Man Bro. Though the damage is good onto Rotwin, and the snipes are great as well. Rotwin gets the last bit of damage, and that's actually not as bad as it could have been for the Eldritch Hounds. A 1-for-1 trade. Though ADC for support, rarely something you're happy about.
Yeah, if you don't get any sort of objectives, I think the gold on Dude Man Bro as opposed to the gold on Rotwin probably a bit better for the Hounds. But if the Gilded Gladiators decided to push this fact and say, hey, they don't have an ADC, we do, maybe we could pull an objective or something like that, could be a little bit annoying. We still see Remakami right at that tower line, can't really post out unless you know exactly where Mass Kill is. And right now they have no idea. On the Scorpion at the moment, and it looks like Sotos will be helping out as well. So you don't really want to push up too far in that solo lane, but looking at Oath, has sort of looked over at Duo a few times. Did get the kill one time, which obviously Dude Man Bro's snipes were able to confirm. But really still has not been very active. Part of 2 kills out of 3, but also 2 deaths, and that's really the issue. You don't want to be anywhere Mass Kill is because this Kali is simply out damaging you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, awkward for Oath. I mean, I suppose, like, it feels like you're not going to have much success going towards Listemics, who's 3 levels ahead. You're 2 levels behind. I don't envy a jungler who's in a position like this, where the opposing jungler has just gotten out to such a great start, and you feel like you're behind. You want to farm, but you want to help out lanes, and it's just not quite been there for you or your team. The gold lead isn't backbreaking, but 3,000 gold at 12 minutes. Rarely feels fantastic. And now it's the Gilded Gladiators asking similar questions to what the Eldritch Hounds were in game 1. Good beads used there by Dude Man Bro. Can you avoid the pull? Sidesteps a lot. Up to the sky he goes. Buying time after he uses all 3 charges very quickly. Toddy and Rotwin both backpedaling. 2 ults for 1, but beads off at Dude Man Bro.
Still pretty sickly played by Dude Man Bro. Sidestepping the root, obviously pre-beezing that Wrath of Terra from Rotwin, so the Juke Shoe is very happy, but Oath is getting chunked down.
Oath having to run away yet again. The level lead in the jungle. Feels like Crimson is going to have to save the life of Oath, and that's exactly what happens as a World Weaver stuns out Maskill Chain onto Rotwin and a stun. But that's just pulling Maskill forward. There is destruction for the Kali, should it be needed. But a rotation out of solo lane from Listemics as well, just as an insurance policy. No minion wave means no tier 1 tower for the Gladiators.
Yeah, and Remakami thinking about rotating over, but once again, this is a level 11 Zhong. I can't imagine that anything will be gained by a Blink Zhong here in this mid lane fight. Pretty much everyone is just too healthy, and as you mentioned, Maskill still has destruction available. So gonna go back and maybe get the first blue buff we've seen for a while. Listemics is sort of rotating around, trying to steal it away, but not gonna post up too far here. But it looks like the Hounds are pulling Pyro.
Pyro down low. Pretty quick shred here from the Hounds. Kali back in base, so there was a small opening. I don't mind the aggressive call from the Hounds to even just try to take away one of the objectives that the Gladiators surely are going to take for themselves here in maybe a couple of minutes, yes. A couple of seconds, rather. Pyromancer will get shredded on away, and the gold lead will grow. And so the similar questions that I was talking about earlier, Trelly, are how do you get back into this game? Where do you draw the line? The gold lead wasn't quite this drastic at this point in Game 1. Maybe we were just at this point in Game 1, 14 and a half minutes. The Eldritch Hounds have to decide, are we fighting over the Gold Fury? Are we fighting over the Fire Giant? Do we put up a defense around the tier 1 towers? And that's not something you're hoping to ask yourself 14 and a half minutes in, but when you're down 4,000 gold, you do have to ask.
I imagine you're pretty okay fighting around your mid laner because Crimson is pretty even. You're pretty okay fighting around your duo because Dubambro has been pretty impressive in this lane, honestly. Toddy has not been pushing up too far unless Robin rotates over. I will say there is a ton of healing on the Gilded Gladiators that no one from the Eldritch Hounds has even started to build into to try and counter. I mean, the Sylvanas healing, the Wisps, obviously, but you have the life steal from Toddy. You have the seeds from Persephone. Kali has the passive, and we already know the soul leader from Kleena. So every single person on the Gilded Gladiators has some sustain or healing, and no sort of anti-heal built just yet. Maybe Oath goes into a Brawlers finally in this third slot, but it's going to be hard to try and say, okay, now is where we turn on and start fighting, because I don't think you outdamage the sustain that they have right now unless you have a pick. Maskill pretty much blinks in freely at the moment. 4-0-3. On this Kali, been a part of every single kill that the Gilded Gladiators have, and has blink, beads, and ultimate whenever he wants to go in.
Yeah, whenever he's ready for it. And Maskill has been ready more often than not so far this game. 100% kill participation for the jungler. Quig uses the chains. Grasp of Death, no good, but the pull is onto Quig. Looks like disengaged now for both of these teams. Though slight initiation was connecting for both. Gold Fury eyeing some targets, but neither of the two teams will commit. 3 ultimates out for the Gilded Gladiators, resulting in nothing. Though Quig's ultimate being down, at least something being traded back. Could this be the opening, though, for the Hounds?
Looks like they're going to try and fight this one. They are here. It's more of a bait than anything. The Gilded Gladiators are going in.
Crimson is low. Blink through from Remakami. Uh-oh. Maskill is into destruction without having found a kill just yet. Typhoon, no. World Weaver, yes. And Maskill has been shut down for the first time this game. The Eldritch Hounds buy their time and realize maybe an ultimate advantage in that fight and a little shutdown gold in their back pockets.
Yeah, but the Gold Fury will not be pulled here. Rather than that, the Eldritch Hounds are going to spread out, disperse, and get all the farm they can. Oath immediately checking the enemy speed buff. That seems to be the prize that he's looking for, and no one's going to be close, so that will go down. Maskill's dead, so taking away his speed is going to be quite the pain. And now the Susano is going to try and take away the back cam, steal away the Chalice as well. The blue buff, Listemics is still here, and Quick, I think, just took it with the chain.
Yeah, not often you get to see that, but a nice little play. Look, anything to keep Listemics a bit behind at this point, right? I mean, it was 2 or 3 levels for Listemics, now down to 1 level for Remakami, who's just hung out in lane, farmed up, just doing Zhong Kui's best to stay alive. And that's not something we've gotten to really see yet, Trelly, is outside of that last initiation, what this Zhong Kui might do later on in the game, because all of the early game has just been piling on Zhong Kui. Listemics and Maskill just jumping over and over and over again. 0-3. But if the game continues at this pace, There will be an impact from a Zhang Kui as some of the itemization catches up.
Yeah, we got to see where Ramakami decides to go, because we've touched on the fact that it's Pythex and a Typhus. You're going for a lot of healing. You've got some percentage damage. Oh no, another 3-man rotation, and Ramakami's got no clue.
Yeah, this feels like a slight caster's curse, right? When we're talking about Ramakami starting to catch back up, something like this is going to happen. At this point, you're just dodging out as much as you can, wasting the time, because your team is doing Gold Fury over on left if you're Ramakami. But Sodos is here. Doesn't matter. Toddy was as well. And the Gold Fury confirmed by the Eldritch Hounds. Nice little gold infusion back. I suppose you'll take that trade. And you will. You've halved the gold lead in the last couple of minutes and halved the experience lead if you're the Hounds. And all for the life of Ramakami, who's able to go back and get a Divine Ruin.
Yeah, if that's Dude Man Bro or Up Crimson, your 3-man diving for gold, maybe a little bit more worth it. But that's Ramakami, the 0-4 Zhang. I guess it was 0-3 at the time. Either way, not worth too much. And finally, the anti-heal has been built by the Eldritch Hounds. It looks like Divine and Brawlers both finished up. I think Zhang is the perfect target to apply this anti-heal, because essentially you're blinking in, using your ult, and just trying to get active. But Dude Man Bro pre-beats the stun, and now he's getting dove.
Jumped on, Aegis well timed. World Weaver through, stuns out, Toddy. You better get this kill on the Dude Man Bro. Mass kill. Takes one too many tower shots. I don't know if a rotation in here is a good idea from the Eldritch Hounds. There's still numbers advantage for the Gladiators. And it's Dude Man Bro for nothing. Gilded Gladiators able to complete a tower dive onto the ADC.
I love this from Krim, though, not running away from Listemix's rotation, instead trying to fight. Kleena has a fair bit of physical defense in the Glad Shield and the Spectral Armor, so the crits aren't doing too much. But this Neath, if you're going to build this way, send the World Weaver out and then stand your ground and auto-attack. It looks like Listemix might try to pull this Pyro or hide in case the Hounds are going to pull the Pyro, and Listemix is just going to be a moving ward at the moment, saying, hey guys, get over here, I'll try and stall as best I can.
Yeah, Listemix is strong enough that he might be able to do a little bit more than just the best that, well, the best that he can, rather, might just be a little bit better than only stalling out. And stall out is the result that we'll get here. The Hounds have to back away from the objective. That was a well-timed turnaround kill from the Gladiators. Felt like a bit of the gold and a bit of the experience was starting to slip away. And you get a return kill now to Dude Man Bro, kind of remind the Hounds of who's in the lead here in this game. And the Pyromancer will be confirmed as well by the Gilded Gladiators. And this is the type of moment where you can sometimes see these games sneak into a lull. You're a few minutes away from that Fury respawning. Now a full respawn timer on the Pyromancer back from respawning. You're getting so close to level 20. Some of those big item power spikes. And Ramakami thought he was going to be able to kick back and farm up and spend some time relaxing. But instead, another gank from Maskill finds its way solo, and 0-5 now is the Zhang Kui, but return kill in mid. The Hounds have found a way to answer back.
Yeah, getting a kill on the Sodos is going to be pretty massive there again. Ramakami is not worth much. Still level 17, so finding a bit of farm, trying to keep that XP there, but take a look at the Eldritch Hounds base. They've got 2 trebuchets stacked up, just waiting to be unleashed upon the world. So they are purposely not sending those down, possibly for maybe the Oni Fury or even the Fire Giant after the fact. Someone is going to have to stop to address those, or you're going to lose your towers, because these trebuchets could definitely solo a tower if no one is going to throw some auto attacks their way. They're keeping them there for a reason. Despite the fact that the gold is a little bit behind, the Eldritch Hounds obviously about 1.2k, give or take, behind at the moment, they still do have some defense options. The one thing I would say that's not in their favor is the fact that 7 of these 10 kills are on Maskill. This Kali is an absolute blender right now, already has the Hasten Blade, has the Kinzai's, and now Silver Branch, so Maskill is afraid of no one.
And I think on a counterpoint, what you were sort of referencing with Ramakami, is of the 10 kills, half of them are on Ramakami, right? Like only one guy can get so far behind, and the rest of the Hounds still not ahead necessarily, though Crimson is 2 levels ahead of Sodos, and Dude Man Bro is ahead of Toddy. You're hoping that the one guy being so far behind on the Eldritch Hounds is better for you than just one person being super far ahead on the Gilded Gladiators. Haven't seen Kali do much outside of jump on top of the Zhang Kui. This would be something.
This is really smart.
No way, right? But Trelly, enjoying this call. There are a couple members of the Gilded Gladiators over on left. Remember, an ultimate from Toddy can join the fight. It looks like the Hounds just wanted to see the reaction time of the Gladiators.
Yeah, they 3 faces were shown in left. Immediately, Maskill has to back up once he recognizes, wait, we can't all be here because there's a Fire Giant and another ADC on the map. So Maskill backs up. They pull the FG and bait out that Trebuchet, but yeah, the Trebuchet was in left, and that's why they all rotated. Now, though, Dude Man Bro recognizes, wait, we didn't get much. They rotated over and stopped your guys' call. He's got to help.
Fire Giant now pulled by the Gladiators. Quig is low, gets chains onto Listemics. Double stun from Remakami. And another death onto the Zhonghui. Quig locked in place as well and should be a second frontliner dying in this fight. The Eldritch Hounds have lost their solo and support. That should be a quick Fire Giant call from the Gladiators.
Yeah, they don't have too much burst for this, really just whatever Sotos is going to bring, but there's also not too much confirm on the opposite side. Erupt Crimson has a Spirit Arrow, and that's about it. The health bars are getting pretty low here, and it looks like Dude Man Bro's here as well.
Dude Man Bro and Crimson close by. Both of your hunters, you can do some good burst damage to the Gilded Gladiator. Sotos is low, has to use the Aegis. World Weaver catches him out! And the Eldritch Hounds have picked up 1, and the FG has been dropped by the Gilded Gladiators. Sotos, an afterthought, but Oath eats another death. The Eldritch Hounds, Trelly, I think, just happy to keep the Fire Giant on the map.
Yeah, Erupt Crimson does get the credit for that kill and will tick over to level 20. Deathbringer finish for both the Neath and the Rama on the Eldritch Hounds side, whereas you look at the left side, the Gilded Gladiators, thought he went for Wind even in that slot, but doesn't quite have that much crit chance online just yet. So the Ornate Arrow as well. So Dude Man Bro should be swinging right now. Urama has sort of foregone rotating to just push and push and push. Now Urama should be helping you out. The 4-0 Kleena probably doesn't want to be boxing up right now with the Rama unless there's no sort of anti-heal. Then you have to deal with that. But Remakami needs to survive the fights. That's pretty much it. If you can get Remakami,
that's a tall ass.
yeah, if you can get this Zhong to get a full ult off before he dies, this could be a completely different game. Right now, though, the Gilded Gladiators are still playing incredibly smart. They don't want to force anything where they think maybe we could get this stolen away. Even if they had the numbers advantage on FG, nothing was confirmed there, so they didn't go for the pull. It looks like they did send the Trebuchet down on the right side, but Dude Man Bro got ulted on.
Toddy has damage towards Dude Man Bro. Dude Man Bro's got a lot of damage, though, for Toddy. Beads used. Aegis there as well, and Dude Man Bro turns around the 2v1. Unreal from the ROM, and now the Hounds rallying around their ADC have found a second kill in this fight. World Weaver into the back of Listemics. Chain is up, chain is down. Goodbye, Kleena. Eldritch Hounds have shown up.
And Maskill is nowhere in sight, was pushing down mid, maybe was going to rotate in, but immediately saw his team got deleted and stopped that right away. The Trebuchet is soloing the tower in right, and it looks like Sotos is going to get some farm on the left side. Now, the Eldritch Hounds have all the pressure they want. They could go for this Fire Giant here. The one problem, again, is this Kali that can easily defy death and try and disrupt on this FG. Maskill has already made his presence known, so they know exactly where this Kali is right now. And it looks like they're not going for Fire Giant. They're going to catch out this Kali. Nope, they called it off.
But double back towards the FG. And this is all, if this Fire Giant is confirmed, which it looks like it will be, this is all started by Dude Man Bro in the play that he was able to make, just outboxing Toddy anyway. And then Rotwin comes in, beadsing out the knockup, out-damaging Toddy. And then hats off to the rest of the Hounds for rallying around their ADC in the advantage that was bought there to win the fight after the fact. And Trelly, we do, and I'm glad we do, have an opportunity to look back at how Dude Man Bro really set all this up.
Yeah, dashed away from the root, and then just sits there, immediately Aegis is that
That
pre-ult,
is-
and pre-beats it too. So
Wow,
sick.
it doesn't miss any autos down the stretch. And this right here, look at all of that. They're like, Dude Man Bro, you can breathe for a second. You've done enough. We're here. We're tagging you out. And the rest of the team walks forward. I mean, that's not it. Dude Man Bro is also doing damage at the end of that fight as well. Unreal play that has completely flipped this game. Look at those golden XP charts. 4,500 in the experience department and nearly 3,000 gold. And it's going to get worse. The Eldritch Hounds have a full 2.5 minutes, nearly 3 minutes on this FG buff to knock down some tier 2 towers.
Yeah, 3 are still available, but again, there still has to be said that Maskill did not fall in that fight because he was nowhere close. So if Kali does
That's
rotate
true.
in a little earlier, maybe that goes better. You still have a 7-in-1 full build Kali with Blink, Beads, and ult available. I can't imagine right now you want to risk it, though. You say, guys, we already got our jungle to late game. Let's let them get their towers online and stuff. Let's be confident in our late game draft because Ares, not going to be your best option late game. Everyone should have relics or ults, and it looks like Quig might be showing why.
Uh-oh, you don't want to give up one of your FG buffs this easily. Maskill into the destruction. One more snipe. Wouldn't have mattered damage-wise anyway, but Rotwind pulled back in, and the Hounds end up grabbing a kill and TKOing Maskill, who has to head back, already having used the destruction. The Eldritch Hounds trail starting to build up some power here. A little bit of pressure forming on the left side Phoenix.
They have no true tank here either with losing that Sylvanas. So Stemix can't really frontline that easily. It looks like Remakami's going to blink in.
Can the 06 Zhonghui get
nothing.
something going?
That did no damage.
It did no damage, but you know what it did? It did mental damage.
That
I was like,
is true.
this guy's 0-6 and blinking into us wide. Something's got to be afoot. And the Gladiators back themselves away from the left side Phoenix. Still 8 seconds on Rotwind, but also a tier 2 tower on right. 1.5 minutes left on the FG buff. Already setting up for that next Fire Giant, though, by knocking down the left side Phoenix.
I like the idea of just blinking in with the ult, and you know most people think when a Zhong is going to blink in, there's going to be big damage, so they did just sort of back up, and the Phoenix goes down for free, but I can't imagine anyone would have been chunked down too far by Remakami's build. Not even any HP steal, no sort of Soul Reaver online just yet. Seems to be the E-Staff will be the last item, and that will be a big help. Obviously, there's a lot of HP being built by the Gilded guys, but Remakami's getting chased down, and there's no way.
Yeah, well, look, we didn't think there was a way on 6 of the other deaths. Grasp of Death, by the way, used, but hits a wall. Actually, a nice stun from Remakami. Am I underhyping this play? Because Remakami will get out unless Listemic chases down the damage, and Remakami does survive, but what is the cost? Quig walks forward, throws up the chains, grabs Toddy on the pull, but onto the wall and off goes Toddy. Masculus finally run down Remakami. One more snipe onto Toddy. How well can you read it? Well enough. Dudeman Bro does it again. And Toddy takes a tumble. Remakami, for the 7th time this game, though, did ultimately get chased down.
And it looks like Quig this time trying to stop some backs. There's fire minions on the left side of the map, and nope, it looks like everyone will go back there. So no more chasing will happen. Fire Giant buff is going to fall off in about 3 seconds. So we saw some back and forth there. We saw Maskill finally killing Remakami for the 7th time. This Zhonghui will not be able to finish the build anytime soon, but Maskill has no beads, and it looks like Quig's on the hunt.
Doesn't have destruction either. NECC. I'm like, NECC makes its way in. Yeah, no, that's 600 damage auto attack. We'll get rid of Maskill just fine. Who wins an 8-1 Kali or 2 auto attacks from Dudeman Bro? Well, now, to be fair to Dudeman Bro, he's incredibly strong at this point in the game as well. Just couldn't quite believe how fast that Kali died. Grasp of Death onto Crimson, who used the beads and backflip away. As the mid lane Phoenix takes a little bit of damage, fire minions pouring down the left side of the map. And luckily for Maskill, the timer not too offset from the enhanced Fire Giant, but it is a bit. If the Hounds immediately pull this Fire Giant, it's going to be a 4 versus 5.
There will be an enhanced Fire Giant. Erupt Crimson does spot out a few members of the Gilded Gladiators, but will back up pretty much immediately. Obviously, Toddy is able to chase down from wherever, so clearing those minions in left won't be a big deal for the Chernobog. Can get over whenever they need to. Has the beads available as well, so don't have to worry about getting CC'd off the ult. So sending the Chernobog to clear your fire minions definitely going to be your best option. But you're right to say that Dudeman Bro is doing so much damage. I love the way he's itemized as well, where Erupt Crimson gets the dominance, but Dudeman Bro has the Executioner. That's going to shred the protections for all of the physicals on the Eldritch Hounds. So not only is Erupt Crimson going to do more damage, Oath as well is going to benefit from that. So they probably split the man load there, saying one of us will get dominance, one get Exy. And Dudeman Bro is critting very hard. Finally, that enhanced Fire Giant has spawned in. Toddy's on the left side of the map, and here it comes.
Wonder how fast this is going to go down. Quickly is the answer. Rotwind into the FG pit and into the grave as Crimson has the last auto attack worth of damage. Enhanced Fire Giant not finished, but Oath's health bar is. Can Dudeman Bro get it done again? Nearly does. Toddy with a sliver, and I mean a sliver, of HP will survive. Ends up having to head on back, go towards the base, and the Fire Giant enhanced for the Eldritch Hounds.
Yeah, Oath does fall there in a 1v1 versus Maskill. Again, your jungle wants to get to the back line, but you don't want to take that 1v1. Maskill wins that 10 out of 10 times if destruction is available. It looks like there is Fire Minions on the left side, so 2 members of the Gladiators are going to have to go stop that. But the Eldritch Hounds, they have enhanced Fire Giant. They don't need minions. They're going to walk right into this right Phoenix and start.
And it's done. Just as quickly. Yeah, you got plenty of objective shred with the way that both of the Hunter builds have gone here for the Eldritch Hounds. I mean, you could just, I guess we're just walking at all the Phoenixes. All right, right side Phoenix gone, mid lane Phoenix gone. Left side Phoenix needs an auto attack. Oath is up in 5 seconds. And Trelly might just be clear cut for the Eldritch Hounds here. Let's head back to base, spend up some of that gold. You got a Trebuchet now on the right side of the map. And there's a low health Phoenix on left.
You could essentially send the Trebuchet, then split up. Obviously, Oath doesn't have the enhanced Fire Giant, but everyone else does. And any one of these late game Hunters alone with a Titan for about 5 or so seconds could probably shred it down. So you need to constantly be watching your base. And there's a lot of pressure on the Maskill because Maskill has to find more than 1 kill. That's essentially it. Kali, very solid at finding a 1v1. If Maskill finds 2 kills, this defense is all but over. But right now, it looks like they are group as 5 trying to find anyone out. Rup Crimson could walk right into this pole.
Oh, and this would be a miraculous start. You gotta hit those. Crimson rooted in place, but then backflips away. Grasp of Death does connect, but it only roots Crimson in place in the early kill over the Eldritch Hounds. Rotwin burned away by Quig. Toddy taken down on the back end of this fight as well. Listimics is the last alive, and Listimics will have to watch the rest of his team die. The Gilded Gladiators, they put up a fight, but the Eldritch Hounds have turned around this game, and it looks like they'll send the Gladiators home.
I mean, Krim had beads there, but he could have been auto-running, essentially, and just the pull a little bit off the mark. Maybe you thought he would have seen it in backpedal or something like that. Knock with the option. Listemics won't even be able to defend this one. Everyone is here, and the Eldritch Hounds will be able to bounce back after a round 1L and take down the Gilded Gladiators.
My goodness, Dude Man Bro lights the spark. That turns into a fire for the Eldritch Hounds here in game number 2. And the Hounds send home the Gilded Gladiators. The Hounds move themselves on to the next round of Smite Masters. We will have 4 more SCC teams playing tomorrow. What's that, Friday? All the days blend together at this point. And then Saturday, the Eldritch Hounds will be back in action in group number 3. I think the Gladiators should be a level of proud that they made it to this event, right? It's a very difficult phase in the EU SEC to qualify in. They took down the Hounds earlier on today, but in the best of 3, Hounds heated up a little bit. Number 1 seed for a good reason.
I mean, the Gilded Gladiators looked really sick even in this set towards the end there. Up until Dude Man Bro 1v2'd in that purple buff.
Yep.
If that kill goes down, this game could have went to 3, and the Hounds could be in a difficult spot here. Who knows? But Dude Man Bro showed up today, and those snipes were on point, those crits were on point, and the whole team looked extremely solid there towards the end.
Yeah, I think of Dude Man Bro, outside of that one individual play, I'm glad you shout out the snipes because the snipes were on point as well. And I think Jean-Kui starting off like 0-6, 0-7, and having the fortitude for Remakami to stay involved in this game. Blink forward and do no damage with your ult. Doesn't matter. Eldritch Hounds grab game 2, grab the set, send home the Gladiators, and move themselves on. Charlie and I will take a break. When we come back, Desk breaks this one down.
You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just come. Just come. Just come. Just come. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just come. Just come. Just come. Just come.
Even though they faltered at the beginning of the day, the Eldritch Hounds are able to clean it up with a 2-0 victory over the Gilded Gladiators to continue their reign in the SMITE Masters land. They'll move on to Saturday to play in group number 3 with a victory here. And unfortunately for the Gladiators, that means that they are now done and their tournament life has come to a close here on day 1 of the Masters Tournament. It's J-Mac. I got Ro with me here one more time. And what a back-and-forth game that we got to watch there. I mean, the Gladiators had control all of the early game. A lot of that focus that we did notice, though, was going over towards Remakami, who ended up being the sacrificial lamb. He walked so that Dude Man Bro could run.
Exactly. Look, it was an impressive bounce back from Hounds. They lose the first game of the day, and that's their first loss of the year pretty much, and now they bounce back going lossless for the rest of the day and beating the team that had beaten them. Remakami, yeah, that was a rough game for him, but hey, he still got the value at the end. He had that blink ult and forces everybody back, and that's a free Phoenix for them. But Dude Man Bro is definitely the one that we want to focus on, you know, outboxing Toddy completely here, and then, you know, he had some impressive Rama snipes later in the game as well, and these insane crits. Obviously, we expect most Hunters to do that in the late game, but like blowing up Akali before she even gets an ult off, that is impressive.
The fact that he almost even died walking through the clean ult still survives throughout here, and that kind of being the turning moment for the Hounds. I mean, we saw some fight back up until that point, but that one little turnaround, the 2v1 for Dude Man Bro, brings this back in towards the favor of the Eldritch Hounds. They are able to find a win here in game number 2, a 2-0 to close out their day and move themselves on further in the Masters land. And I've got high expectations now for this team. We've seen some of the lows that came from them in the earlier day, but now we're seeing some of the highs here in this set.
Yeah, that's right. Look, some of the highs are definitely from Dubembro himself, right?
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about him being the MVP for that first game I don't know if it was the first game, but it was in the set against the Ravens where he steals away the Gold Fury, and that sets the pace for the rest of that set. They end up 2-0ing them. He continues with the same energy up against Gladiators and gets revenge for the start of the day.
Yeah, Dubembro really on a tear so far today here. 6-2-10 to close out his final game of the day, topping the damage charts for his team at the least. Lestemic's on the opposite side, the true top damage in the lobby, but especially with the amount of crits that he went, the 2v1 that he took at that one fight around the 22-minute mark. I mean, Dubembro really stepping up here on this land to make sure that he can bring his team a victory.
Yeah, speaking of 2v1s, I think he had one on Jingwei as well, forcing the Capriole after like they kind of pseudo dove his tower as well. So like just impressive stuff from each and every game from him.
We can see why they had to rotate like 3 or 4 people to kill him at that one point. I remember looking up and we see a dive under the tier 1 tower. It's like, okay, there's 2 here. And then Rotwin joins the party. He's like, I'm going to make sure that he goes down. But they could not keep the carry down on the side of the Eldritch Hounds. We've got him standing by here for our post-game interview. Dude, man, bro joins me here to talk a little bit here at the end of the day. First off, congrats on your win here. Congrats on moving on.
Thank you.
You guys go down in your first game of the day, a little bit of a rough loss. I mean, what was kind of the talk and the bounce back to come back here?
It was like, it kind of sucked because we were really confident going in, and then we thought we would just smash them, but they came out and they played pretty well. And they didn't really play well, but we beat ourselves. We weren't playing as a team, but we came back and bounced back and went 4-0. So it feels good.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that last game and Rimikami kind of being the sacrificial lamb for you guys on that team. What were his comms like? Because I know how some of the players are where they're just like, man, guys, just do something.
Oh my God. Yeah, he was just like, they're here again. They're 3 on my blue buff. Oh, dude, he's just on me, dude. Like that's how he sounds. And I just made sure his mental was still in it, and yeah, we actually just made them pull Gold Fury, which was silly by them, right? You don't pull Gold Fury anymore. Yeah, they threw the game and we won. That's how it is.
Yeah, talk to me a little about your performance in that last game. You know, the pop off the 2v1 against the duo lane there. I mean, how did that feel? You know, your back's against the wall and you turn it around.
They couldn't hold me. I knew I was gonna smoke the flip out of them. You know what I'm saying? I just knew they were lost. They were lost. I was hitting them left and right with crits, and they were just dizzy. Yeah.
You guys had a strong performance out here. Congrats on your win. I'll let you get back at the scene to celebrate. We'll see you later on in the week.
Thank you.
Confidence, to say the least, and that's something you got to respect out of a player. But also, you know, maybe confidence to a fall, as you heard at the beginning of the interview. Came in maybe not necessarily fully respecting what the enemy team was capable of, and sometimes that does come back to bite you, as we saw at the start of the day.
There's a little humility there as well. Like they admit that they didn't play well in the first game. You know, they're not giving much credit to their opponent at the same time. But you know, it's good to be that way as a player. You need to think you're the best because that's how you become the best, right? You can't be scared of who you're going up against, right? Obviously, they're coming in at Seed 1 at NA, and they were going up against a European team, which they've never faced before, but that was a lower seed. So they expected less. They learned a quick lesson about themselves, and then ended up closing out the day very cleanly.
Yeah, they expected less, but they got more than they bargained for, at least at the start, and able to turn around here, though. 2-0 from them. We'll take a look at the bracket for today, in case you missed out on any of the action. The Hounds, even though they lost their first one, they were able to find a win up against the Ravens in a 2-0, and then 2-0 here now against the Gilded Gladiators. Callan Wardens found a win at the start of the day, and then one up against the Gladiators for a 2-0. So it'll be the Callan Wardens and the Eldritch Hounds. Both of the NA teams in this side of the bracket will be moving on. So half of our EU teams have already been eliminated in just day number 1. But that's just day number 1. We got 8 days of this play, but as far as these groups on some more eliminations, we got quite a few more to go. Starting up tomorrow, we'll have the Niflheim Wargs and the Yomi Tanuki face off, then the Hex Mambo and Shabalba Storm, and they'll follow that same style of bracket that we did today. So they'll do their best of 1s, and then that will group them up for these best of 3 matchups to follow.
Look, I'm expecting some crazy things. They've got a lot of information from today based on the new meta. They can bring their own swing of it basically tomorrow against these brand new teams that we haven't seen on this meta, and I'm just excited to see what they bring.
I'm very excited for these 2 EU teams specifically. The Wargs, you know, the top seed out of there, Hex Mambo, immediately right below. A lot of tenured talent on those teams. Against some more of the young guns out here with like the Shabalba Storm. You have players like Magic Feet who are relatively new to the scene. Then you got the Yomi Tanuki on the opposite side. So there's a lot of powerful competition still to be had for the Masters. Again, it's only day 1. We still got quite a lot of competition going on. So make sure that you tune back in tomorrow, 11 a.m. EST here on the channel to catch out on the action. On behalf of myself, Ro, Casters Production, everyone behind the scenes, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.